we've reached a conclusion on the podcast.
Illegal!
Welcome back, everybody. It is Neckbeards Anonymous, and today we're talking about 50 tips to tip your hat to get your lady.
On a more realistic note, welcome back to the Illegal Podcast.
So this isn't about neckbeards.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. It can be, and it can be if you want it to be.
Tipping intensifies.
He's out.
He's out. He doesn't want.
one.
Okay. Well,
right.
come on back. Today we're gonna talk about a bunch of different topics, but we're gonna start it off with something that's kind of going to be somewhat big. At least some would say it's going to be somewhat of a big event, social scene, so to speak. That is going to be Marvel movies this year, with the culmination of the Avengers with Avengers 3, and hopefully the Infinity War should be happening. All started with Iron Man back in 2008, as you know. Moving forward in time, it's pretty exciting. I'm ready for it. I think at least from when Thor Ragnarok came out. I haven't seen Black Panther yet, so we'll keep that one for later.
Same.
But Thor Ragnarok
What's
was a
wrong with you
blast, for sure. I don't know if it really introduced
I was catching up on
too
some other
much
ones.
into
They're racist.
to the Marvel world, but enough. Without giving any spoilers, I mean there was
Yeah, we won't
some
talk.
big ones for sure, but overall, like.
I say we can cover anything except for Black Panther at this point. If you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
not seen the other movies, then fuck you.
Spoilers up to Black Panther for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Like it's breakdown time. So, God, this is a pretty impressive fucking timeline, and
I mean, there's been so many.
it says here the first was actually Captain America, the first Avenger.
If you're
As far as the timeline goes, not as far as
okay.
Right,
I
right,
got
right,
you.
released.
I got you. Okay.
so Captain
makes
America,
sense.
then Iron Man, then Incredible Hulk. So basically introducing
Yeah.
all the
Like
players.
where they actually took place in time, rather than the actual release dates. There is a lot of stuff in here, and there isn't a lot of bad stuff on here. Like as you're looking through the timeline here, and it's just like
That was cool. This is
most
awesome.
of these are good. Now, what I haven't seen out of most of this list are a lot of the series. So I haven't seen. I think I've seen the first season of Shield. Didn't really care for it. Haven't seen Agent Carter. Haven't seen Agents of Shield. I've seen Iron Fist. Not really a lot of Luke Cage.
There's
kind of the
Jessica
same.
Jones.
Watched a little bit of Daredevil as well.
Daredevil's good.
Yeah, Daredevil was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I should go back and give that another shot for sure.
Yeah.
Another big thing though is going to be the TV series, as you mentioned as well, with Disney doing their own streaming service. Do you think that Netflix is going to keep the rights to all those Marvels shows?
No,
Do you think it's going to all go?
as
to
I
Disney
know, they've already
streaming?
lost them.
Okay.
Like
They've already lost them? Like that's done?
No, like they're still there now, but
Okay.
as soon as that, like all Disney, everything is going to be gone off Netflix.
Well, even,
once they release their shit.
Family Guy is already gone, isn't it?
I don't know. That kind of stuff kind of seems to like fluctuate.
Well,
like
I heard it was
seasons.
gone because isn't Family Guy out Fox Network? And
Yeah,
Disney
it is.
bought Fox?
Yeah.
So that would go along the same line of thinking.
I'm sure
at least.
once they'll pull over everything.
It's
really.
not there. It's not there right now. Like I'm almost
Probably
positive.
just Hulu.
They'll win a lot of people just by saying that, like, hey, we have The Simpsons. Netflix doesn't. Like, just saying that, like, we'll get a good
Yeah.
portion of people, but not everybody, obviously. But.
So I mean, as far as from what I can see here, the only thing unreleased on this timeline is Infinity War Part 1, Ant-Man and Wasp, Captain Marvel, and the untitled Avengers movie, which I'm sure will be Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah.
That's essentially the end. Now I remember back in like right around Iron Man 2 and just being like, wow, this is so fucking cool that this guy is like on the big screen, and it looked good. They had a good character, the story was good, it all just worked out, and it was like, wow, these are really good movies. I mean, how they stand up now versus some of them aren't is not too incredible.
I still love the original Iron Man.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually,
for sure.
in hindsight, actually, a lot of those are really good movies.
Iron Man 1 better than Iron Man 2.
Yeah, and then 3 was a little strange, but I liked the story on how they had like the terrorist guy ended up just being like an actor paid by.
I love the AC/DC soundtrack in Iron Man
that was cool
1.
too. Iron Man 3 was actually the beginning of Marvel's Phase 2. Pretty much their phases was Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. Phase 3, of course, is ongoing right now, and it's actually going to be concluded, it looks like, at least on this thing I'm looking for, is going to be 2019 with the second Avengers, whether it be Infinity War or whatever they call the second one. The fourth one. You guys know what I mean. But it started with Iron Man 3, then it went to Thor Dark World, which I wasn't a fan of as well. It was okay,
Same.
don't get me wrong. It was something, it was forgettable, for lack of a better way to put it.
I wanted to see it because of Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman.
I haven't seen it.
Phase 2 finished
Open your portal.
with Ant-Man, and Phase 3 started with Captain America Civil War. You can tell that Phase 3 is essentially just trying to tear everybody apart to put them back together at the end.
Right. I loved, my favorite so far of all the series is probably Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
I think that's been my favorite one. That, or maybe even Black Panther, because honestly, that was a phenomenal movie. I know we're not actually going to be talking about that one, but as far as favorites, those two are those two and Iron Man 1 are my 3 favorites.
I put Ultron like on the very bottom of my list.
Really?
One of the few. I wasn't really a big fan of it. I thought it was just so much going on. I'm like, I can't keep up. This is way too ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
the first
shit.
Guardians of the Galaxy was
Fuck yeah,
a really good
Guardians.
change of pace, and obviously a lot of movies, the Marvel movies, took a lot of hints from it. Thor Ragnarok has that same kind of slapstick comedy,
That
which
second,
is good.
the Guardians 2 was actually
Guardians 2 was good
a
too,
decent
but
movie. It was
not
like
nearly as good as the first one, but good.
Visually, it was amazing,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well as
Visually good.
Doctor Strange. Holy shit!
Doctor Strange, I really enjoyed.
Good
Oh my
movie
God,
and
yes.
visually like mind blowing.
It's amazing how many movies there are. That's crazy.
No, it's like I don't think we could have the discussion about DC, but that's another time.
Yeah.
Now, here's interesting on this timeline I'm looking at here. It shows the timeline of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 much, much earlier, because I just watched this last week.
Yeah, so did I.
Much earlier in the timeline than I thought it was.
Where
I mean,
is it supposed to have taken place?
It's before Daredevil season. It's literally right after Guardians of the Galaxy 1. It's the next thing after it. So
So these guys came to being around the same time as...
What are the couple things following the Daredevil thing?
right after Guardians of the Galaxy, you have S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2, and then you have Daredevil Season 1. After that, Avengers Age of Ultron. So that happened before
Guardians
Avengers.
was before that. Okay.
Yeah, both of them.
1 and 2 was before that. It kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, and I liked Age of Ultron it was all right. I liked the idea behind it, but it wasn't definitely not the best. Now I see Cloak and Dagger on here. It says that's a series. I'm unfamiliar with that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Huh.
Got nothing. I heard it sucks.
It's
I
something.
hadn't heard of it.
Tell us, guys, in the comments, what you think of Cloak and Dagger, because we don't fucking know. We don't know nothing.
And then some of the I haven't seen the Defenders yet. Girlfriend watched it, seemed to really enjoy it. She likes all like the Marvel Netflix.
The
things,
Defenders, I
which-
watched, I think, the first couple episodes of it. It seemed really nice. Seemed pretty good. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was just kind of a culmination of all their little TV series going on.
Yeah, which I really didn't care for. Iron Fist.
I never watched that.
That was.
I watched a little bit of Iron Fist, and it was hard to watch.
I love me some Iron Fist, but that was just like.
I was so excited
I
when
was
it started.
too. I was like, Iron Fist. Oh my god, he's like pretty much Bruce Lee.
Speaking of that, where the fuck's
Superhero.
Moon Knight at? Anyways.
Oh boy. Where the fuck's Moon Knight at?
Huh? Thank you.
But super excited for the new Infinity War. They just dropped the latest trailer. The last trailer before it comes out looks so good. So good. Did you guys get a chance to see it?
I haven't
Yeah, I
watched
watched
it.
it.
Oh my god.
I actually am trying not to watch any of the trailers
Oh
for
my
this coming up
God.
one.
It's probably good just so it doesn't spoil a lot of things.
I've been
I'm
so
trying-
disappointed in movies when I watch the trailers to them because
Like, oh, I
trailers
watched it
nowadays
before I
pretty
came.
much just show you the movie. They
It's
don't. They might
90%
not
of
show
the
you the
movie.
very end of the movie.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they
'Cause
do. And
they just need to get
I
you
can
there.
usually figure stuff
Yeah.
out.
They show
so it's
you
a
all the
really
good
bad
shit.
idea.
Yeah, they're like. 90%.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I didn't watch it, but apparently there was a video popped up in my YouTube timeline that was about 22 minutes long, and it was titled like actors from the Avengers keep spoiling the story, and like in the interviews and stuff they were doing for the movie. So
Tom Holland.
he was pretty much the clickbait picture where he was like, oh my god, with his hands over
I
his
heard
face.
he's like
but
really bad about that. I haven't watched a lot, but
yeah, to the point of where they wouldn't let him like read the script beforehand. I read something like really strange like that, where like they were not giving him access, the same kind of access they were giving everyone else to the script, because he was just such a little asshole.
Being a little piece of shit.
I think I watched an episode with him in interview with him and Benedict Cumberbatch that
Benny Cucumbers.
Benny Cucumbers, where he's just like Benedict Cumberbatch happened at like handled it like a pro for sure, but I'm pretty sure Tom Holland, you should try to find that interview, people. It was pretty funny.
I thought you were telling Tom Holland to find it. I'm like,
Tom Holland, why don't you take a look at your own interview?
And suck it up.
Suck it up.
There was another one with I'm forgetting his name, the guy who plays
If you don't know, Tom Holland is Spider-Man and Benedict Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange. But if you don't know that, you're probably not listening anymore.
his name, I can't even remember the name he plays.
Ant-Man.
No, he's
Paul Rudd.
friends with
Jonah Hill.
No, it's the
Brad Pitt.
black gentleman.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
It was Brad Pitt.
I forgot where I was even going with that.
Nick Fury.
No, he flies. He's got the little
Falcon?
red falcon. Is it just Falcon?
Yeah, it's Falcon.
He's got the little red falcon. Can't
Yeah.
think of his name.
Yeah, it was,
What is it?
He's friends with him.
I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that. I was bringing him up for a purpose, though. Where I don't forgot what I was talking about.
Captain
right before
America's
that.
pretty good friends with him.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
Brad
Brad Pitt completely sideswiped me and knocked me off my rails. I got so excited. All I could see was Brad Pitt slowly draping his shirt off.
Interview with a vampire.
Distracted and triggered
Triggered.
all at the same time.
That's good.
So I mean, how do you guys? Marvel's just been fucking killing it. I'm super excited for the ending of this. I'm excited for.
Super excited for the
Well,
ending.
like it's just been this build up for
It's
how
gotta end.
long? Like
it's gotta end.
how
At least
how long when did Iron Man 1 come out?
2008.
Yeah,
2008.
Yeah.
So
10
it's been 10 years. We still have a few more movies to come out. Like it's an epic build up.
I'll be
It's
honest.
all coming to this, and I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm excited for it to end in general because I'm hating like seeing every blockbuster being a comic book movie.
Yeah,
I love it,
it
but
is frustrating.
I also hate it because
I'm right there with you.
I don't think it's
man.
gonna stop anytime soon, man.
no, it's
No,
not.
it's
now
gonna
that Disney's
reset.
got it. It's gonna
Yeah.
reset for sure.
Disney,
They're going to tell these same stories just with different actors.
Disney loves milking their franchise.
Now that they have them
So-
all, like you're gonna see Spider-Man and Wolverine. You're gonna see Spider-Man
Oh,
and
yeah.
Deadpool.
Hopefully.
Deadpool, that's another one coming out that we didn't really mention. I'm super pumped
Yeah.
for that.
Do you think Deadpool's gonna make
I don't see it.
some references in there that he probably couldn't have made
Neither Deadpool's on
before
this
the Disney
timeline.
purchase?
I don't know.
Maybe
Do you think they
don't know.
went back in and because I'm sure they were pretty done with
They might have done some reshoots and
Yeah.
kind of had some little. Obviously, he's gonna poke fun at Wolverine for the most part.
well,
Hugh
yeah, for
Jackman,
sure, but that he could do before. Whereas,
yeah, if it's not in the movie, it will definitely be after the credits or
Yeah,
after
for
the credits.
sure, for
Credits. After the credits.
how do you guys think that they're gonna mix the two things? Because like, have to have Tony Stark and Professor X in the same
I don't know. It's,
universe. Do
it's
you think
also
they're gonna
fucking
just
confusing. Like
alternate
this
reality
timeline,
that shit, or
I mean, they mentioned that in the Deadpool movie.
I have to study to watch a Marvel movie if I really want to like keep
Yeah.
up with what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to study to enjoy my movie.
McAvoy or Stewart? I'm so confused.
Stewart.
Stewart, yeah, for sure.
McAvoy does a good job. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
Stewart.
Stewart was a
How do they
much
always?
more convincing
Let's talk about the
paraplegic.
X-Men for like a short second. How do they always fuck up the third one? Like
I think they fucked them
Apocalypse
all up.
was awful. I actually really enjoyed Days of Future Past and that second one,
Oh, I did not enjoy any of
or the
X-Men's.
Origins and the Days of Future Past, and then like Apocalypse was awful.
yeah.
I didn't watch any of them. The most recent one I watched is the one where Xavier's and like old man's got a fucking like dementia or some shit.
Oh yeah, Logan.
No, that was just Logan. Yeah.
Logan. That was
that's-
really
I actually
good.
didn't see that
I
one.
loved Logan. Logan
Super.
was really good.
That was really
Logan's
good.
not on here either.
It
Well,
was
it's an
Fox.
alternate
Oh, yeah,
timeline.
Fox,
kind
so
of.
it wasn't.
It wasn't canon for the timeline right now.
Yeah, it's super sad.
But the other thing that I really liked about that movie is that it introduced a whole new level of like the next generation of superheroes, so they don't have to regurgitate the same fucking stories
Well,
over
yeah,
and over and over
they're
again.
changing the style too, because they also have that New Mutants are coming out. It's like a thriller. It looks like a legitimate like horror film, and it's just based around mutants. I forget the name of it.
That's exciting. I'm excited for different genres of superhero
Yeah, yeah,
movies
yeah.
as opposed to just the action adventure
Right,
or
exactly.
sci-fi
I
action
want to
adventure.
see
whatever you
another
wanna call it.
like Hancock-ish movie. I know that's getting off the Marvel train a little bit, but like something
That's kind of
off the rails.
Deadpoolish for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I actually, with the exception of the silly nonsense core concept of Hancock, where he was like attracted to the other super strong Charlize Theron, I think is who played that character. I enjoyed that. I thought that was a hilarious movie.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
just
good.
it was fun.
It was so
fun.
funny, and to hear superheroes say shit that like you don't hear, other than Deadpool, you don't hear superheroes say, "I'm gonna put your head up his ass." Like,
Well, to bounce
Super
around just
shit.
a little bit as well. I also want him to do a prequel to I Am Legend. I think that would be super sweet.
As long as they update their budget for CGI, because those zombies sucked ass.
That was no good.
That's for sure.
To bring it back to the kind of try to wrap up the Marvel side.
Bring it back.
Marvel. So I hope they kind of stay true to the Infinity War timeline where like Thanos kind of comes in and murders everyone. Kind of excited to see that, and it'd be kind of an interesting climax to be like, yep, it's done now. Now we're restarting.
Do you think everybody's gonna die?
I mean, all these actors aren't
Well, I
they
heard
like
that
ready
was-
for a fucking vacation? Just 10 years of working on the same
Right.
shit. Like,
How'd get old?
you guys
or
have been,
I would get
you
old.
guys have to stay ripped for 10 years. Like, do any of you ever just want a donut every once in a while? You know, you haven't had a donut in 10 years. You fucking.
Talking about donuts.
I imagine like they put a lot of hard work into their bodies, but I'm also imagine there's just like a lot of other stuff going on too, to where
Yeah.
they can do it a lot easier than
It's probably
I-
honestly.
like you got the money to.
I've done a lot of research on those guys, and it's from the interviews that they give. It's hardcore. Like you show up the gym every day for 5 to 8
no
hours.
doubt,
and
yeah. Like I know
you're
they're
eating
putting hard
rice,
work
chicken,
into
and
it, but
broccoli.
I also think there is also like enhancements of.
There probably
kinds
is,
going on.
but
Yeah.
in order to actually not just look the part, but actually play the part, it has to be real.
I think they like it though
For Arnold
because
Schwarzenegger.
yeah, it's job security for him. Because think about like
Right.
certain actors, like if Robert Downey Jr. wasn't doing that as a consistent character, like he could be like Robert Downey Jr. Not Robert Downey Jr. Would be like himself. No, Robert De Niro or like Al Pacino, just like
Whatever
doing
they're in.
pure shit
Yeah,
movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And like just degrading themselves. Like they're like, oh, I can do experimental stuff because I still have this gig where like, you know, I'm still in the spotlight, blah blah blah. I got this coming for the next 10 years. They like have that security, which most actors don't, most actresses don't.
Right.
So
For sure.
they kind of like it, I'm sure, but of course the grind, like you were saying, like I would just
Yeah.
I'd imagine once you do so many of them, like how easy do you think it is for Robert Downey Jr. to get into character?
oh like
I'd imagine
it's
he
just
walks
him.
walks into the room,
Yeah.
takes a shot, and he's got it.
Yeah, it's probably a lot less takes than like the first Iron Man or the second Iron Man, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Cool.
But as far as keeping that physique up, I'm sure it's still.
It's an effort.
Yeah.
That's
for
not,
sure.
That doesn't come for free. That's for sure.
But also, if someone was just like paying you $120 million,
I'll show up every day.
yeah, a little easier to spend a few hours in the gym each day.
For sure.
But yeah, super excited to see what they bring to the table. It's coming out. We're a month away, a little more than a month away. Forget
Yeah.
when the exact.
pushed it
I think
forward a
it was
little
like
bit,
the
too.
27th of April.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. I think almost everyone will be kicking the bucket. I think even from like the trailer, like it looks like.
I bet you
Spider-Man
Guardians of
guys.
the Galaxy makes it.
I think the Guardians, at least Chris Pratt, at the very least him and
Yeah, they're not going to kill him. He's going to be the new face
no.
of the franchise.
I
I bet you Falcon's going to make it.
Well, he can't kill Groot. He's still a baby.
I don't think he's
he's
going to be a
teenager
baby.
at least.
Yeah,
They
he
showed
was
him at
gonna-
the end of Guardians
that's right.
of the
Yeah,
Galaxy
he was
2
a
as a
teenager at the
so
end. Yeah.
I think he's going to be. I think that's why we haven't seen him in any previews, because he's going to be back to an adult.
yeah. I also read
He was
something
actually just
that
in the
was
trailer.
Was he?
Yeah, he had a small part in the trailer. Like,
How big was he?
He was about teenage, maybe going into its adult years, but he kind of like looked up to one of the frames, so he's definitely in it.
I heard that this Groot is not the actual same Groot.
As far as
it doesn't share memories or anything like that, so
Gotcha.
it learned again.
Yeah.
It is not.
Yeah, because this Groot's supposed to, I heard it was basically the son of Groot.
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
It was
doesn't
a-
really matter.
or
It's
Groot.
It's like
Groot.
raising a clone from birth.
From a plant.
It's going to be raised differently. It's going to have different thoughts anyway. So it very well could be the son, but it doesn't really
Unless
matter.
you pay $200K, then it probably has that same little quirk.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, maybe.
Tune into episode 2 to find out.
I think that's a good segue into, we kind of mentioned Disney milking the teat of franchises for
Yeah.
products.
And what happens if you milk the teat for too long?
You go bankrupt.
You don't innovate, you die.
Yep, so
That titty dries up.
Toys R Us closing almost all of its stores. It says close all in this article, all 800 locations, but I think they're trying to keep open some. Obviously, somebody could buy the company and continue running it, but I really doubt they would profit from doing so. But about 6 months ago, everybody probably knew about Toys R Us going bankrupt, or they've filed for bankruptcy, and now they've basically announced that they're shutting their doors. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a lot of buildings empty.
Yeah.
You guys feel like starting a business idea? Like,
I hear there's
got 'em
800
everywhere.
buildings you can
Yeah.
get pretty cheap.
Toys
800.
are you, and you just come bring us your old toys and we resell them.
there you go.
We pay you nothing. It's like the pretty much Goodwill of just toys.
Yeah. Did you guys-
Except not for profit.
Oh, man.
It's well, I'm saying
It's
it would be
entirely for-
it would not be not for profit.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say
what I
it's
meant.
it's all profit.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you could still be not for profit, and the CEO still makes $30 million.
Yeah.
That's just fine.
$8
We're just
billion
not going to be
debt.
weird about
$8
it.
billion debt, is that what you said?
Drop off
your
They have
toys, we're
$8
gonna
billion
sell for a
in
lot of
debt.
money.
$8 billion for Toys R Us.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And they had just taken out a pretty huge loan as well.
Yeah.
I bet $8 billion worth.
I think they took out the loan when they were in that debt, and it was.
It's time to
forgot
pay.
what it said. Yeah, like you guys are. I mean, how many toys do you got to sell every day?
You know what would be cool to go? We should buy all 800 of those stores, and we should start buying the franchise archery tag. That is not a plug. That thing looks fucking sweet. I'm just saying.
Or is it a plug?
I don't know. Pay us money.
Do you guys have any fond memories?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get into. Is like, I remember for just saving up my money to get a
Oh,
Nintendo
yeah.
64 and just doing chores, and just like I hardly ever got to go into Toys R Us. There was like, the moments I had, it would just, you'd walk in and just be like, what the fuck is going on in here?
I'm gonna play with everything.
It's so my fondest memory would be probably the scooters when those things came out. Like they just
Razor
came
scooters?
out. The Razor scooters, yeah, it was huge, and like all the kids were just riding around the store on them. And I was just like, yeah, like I just seen one, and it was like the coolest color, and then some asshole stole it. And I got this pink one, and I was like, whatever, I'm having fun, and just went around the store. It was so awesome.
Yeah. And at the time, there wasn't any like GameStops. There was like a place called like Funcoland. I don't know if anyone remembers Funcoland, but
Oh shit.
like there's like you were lucky if that place had like a little spot you could play games, but like Toys
Yeah.
R Us would always have like a spot where like it had like a PlayStation or whatever the hell, where you could walk up to it and
Yeah,
start
yeah.
playing demos, and that was always really cool. And it was a really cool experience to just see just a store full of toys. Like that
Yeah,
just
that's
wasn't a
all
thing.
it is.
and
Yeah.
it kind of sucks that like I don't think there's anything like that anymore. Like there's just nothing.
Everything's like a superstore. Like I don't know. It's got to have everything, or you're just gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I'm pretty sure that Toys R Us, what actually did them in is I'm pretty sure they started getting a hold of Amazon to do all of its fulfillment.
Yeah, that could be it.
So essentially Amazon realized, hey, we can just make money off of this. Let's just cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
And at that point, Toys R Us already invested money in that instead of investing money in their own shipping service or partnering with FedEx or UPS or something like that to get their toys everywhere. So everybody just started ordering stuff from Amazon, which they essentially killed themselves by doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Cannibalizing itself.
Right. You show somebody how to do something and expect them to just honor their word when your contract runs out.
Right.
Why do we still need you?
This company is in big debt. What do we
To
do?
have a physical location to go to is awesome, but they really needed to up their online presence.
Yeah.
Do you know if they had an application you could download, Toys R Us app, to do shopping?
I'm sure they did, but it was not nearly as good as Amazon's.
Yeah.
Probably too late. And
Yeah.
also, what I always remember about Toys R Us as well is like they always had like an extra 10%, 15% markup, kind of more than anyone else. So it was one of those things where it was just like, that's also not helping your scenario here.
Right.
But what was also really cool about a Toys R Us is everyone had forgotten about it, and if you wanted to get like a Nintendo Switch or something, Toys R Us always had that shit. They were never selling out because
That's true.
Nobody went there.
No one ever went there or
No.
like ever thought like, hey, I can get a game console over here. I think people think of more like that big Lego set or that extra special like Barbie I need for my daughter. I got to go to Toys R Us.
Do you know if they're having a blowout sale? Because
I think they're having liquidation sales soon.
nice.
That's what I thought I read as well.
'Cause,
We're
like,
gonna start.
I could kill for
Oh.
some big Lego sets. I'm just saying.
I plan to go there to get like gaming stuff. Just
Don't be
because,
surprised
like,
if in like
Ryan's
4 or
gonna buy,
5
like,
episodes you're going to
15
see a big
Nintendo
Millennium
Switches.
Falcon right
try
now.
to flip
Big
it.
Death Star,
Something
like
like that.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did back in the day with my cousin build the 3D puzzles were really popular. They were like foam pieces. We built a Millennium Falcon. It was really cool.
Nerd.
Yeah.
And still never watched a single
Yeah.
Star Wars
Still
film.
haven't seen one.
Fucking weird.
This piece of shit over here.
I'll build the puzzle
Piece
though.
of shit over.
To back up just a little bit, Disney's supposed to start creating Star Wars episodes. So not just episodes, I'm sorry, like full-length TV shows, which I think is just going to end up saturating the market back to Toys R Us.
Yeah, I fucking hate Disney.
Yeah. Again, I haven't seen any of the Star Wars movies, but
Start with the TV show.
I hear Disney's just fucking it all up.
I feel like Disney was in its prime as far as how it pushed merchandise and how it produced just content, period. Back in like the early 2000s, mid 90s to early 2000s is really like the prime time for Disney, where it was like it was all quality. They weren't just pushing like give me dollars, like hey, this is some good shit, and they were like, okay, I'll willingly give you my fucking dollars. Now they're just like,
I would say
fucking
they're.
give me dollars.
I think their heyday was more like in the early 50s and 60s, just because not many people were pushing like animation as much as they were. Like, I think in the early 90s or maybe early 2000s, that's where competition like DreamWorks came out.
Well, I guess is what I'm saying is like as far as like as the market itself goes,
Oh,
not
gotcha,
like how
like
they're
pushing
not
everything
their
out now.
influence or anything,
Yeah.
but like how their structure was as far, you know what I mean? Like as far, do you guys remember like when Lion King came out? Let's say, for example, how it was just different. I mean, obviously it's different because technology is different, but it feels completely different. I don't think it's just nostalgia either. I think it's like there's something just different.
For sure. Like no, there is definitely just like something different. Like when you watch like the difference of like
Talking about
watching
Talk to.
like when you're talking.
like Aladdin, for instance, is a completely different experience than like watching like Tangled. I mean, obviously, it's like you're. It's probably 20 years later, and it's obviously for kind of like a different demographic. But like, Tangled's not a bad movie. I don't want to shit on Tangled, but like there was something to the quality of like maybe it was just because I was so young and easily impressionable. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, how's those nostalgia
there
glasses
was-
feeling?
yeah, there was just a lot of fucking classics, man.
Classics, but way more like if you like really delve into like Aladdin, like super racist. Like everybody's Arab that's like, oh, they're all bad. Like if you really look at the villains of like older Disney films, I mean, like they've always danced around issues with.
I mean, that's like it's still happening all the time, like today in movies. Like
I don't know if
in
Tangled
any
had it.
like. Well, who was the antagonist in Tangled?
I have no idea.
Was
I've
like
never seen Tangled in my life.
a witch or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
But like, I mean, in how many, even in those
Yeah.
now or then, like, how many times are like the Germans the enemy in any
true.
movie. Like it's still it's like
every Indiana Jones movie for sure.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like two
movie.
anyway.
Yeah.
It was one of the Pitch Perfects, and like the enemies were German.
Das Sound
And
Machine.
I popped on Beer Fest afterwards. The enemies were German.
Germans, yeah.
Goddamn Germans.
So it was like that's definitely like a part of old Disney films, and the further you're back, the worse it gets for sure.
But it's also showing the time as well.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely still happening today. Just kind of a different
feel. Yeah. I think like the quality, like classics for sure, but like I mean I don't know. I think if you grew up in this era, you'd be like, oh man, Tangled. These old movies don't even touch how good Tangled is or how good.
Probably.
I don't, maybe because I didn't think that necessarily about older movies when I was a kid.
Like if you go back and watch some movies, like they're bad.
Sure, but no, like for example, like the difference between
Space Jam.
Well, just sticking. Was that
Don't
a
you
Disney?
dare
That
shit
was
on
Warner
Space
Brothers.
Jam.
No, I'm just talking about like old.
But
It had Bill Murray in it. Let's remember that.
and Michael
That shit
Jordan.
on Space Jam quite yet.
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us. The like for going back from like say Lion King again. I think it was like a 94, 95 release.
Yeah.
In that time period, early 90s, and then go all the way back to like a Dumbo or something like that.
That
which
was like the 30s.
I mean, that movie was
crazy.
I watched the shit out of that movie as a kid, and I didn't think that was shit. Like,
that had a lot of racist shit in it.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh, sure.
I think that had the crows in it,
Yeah,
right?
the super racist crows. Let's be honest, Walt Disney was a fucking anti-Semite. He was
without a doubt.
huge.
For sure.
Do you think if
He was also awful to his
Toys R Us
crew.
was a little bit more anti-Semitic, they would have been more successful?
Maybe. Probably not at all.
Probably
Or if they
not.
got into movies or making their own TV shows or anything like that.
I think they just needed to like stay around to kind of swing back to the topic just to close it out. I think to stay alive, they should have aggressively attacked online a little bit better.
For sure.
I think they should have routed. I don't know. It's really hard. I'm not a businessman, so I don't
think
know
they should have
exactly.
opened up their own gaming company or something like that, because toys as they used to be aren't the same toys as they are today. Everything's going towards digital.
For sure.
Yeah.
So like they should have gotten more involved with their own line of digital products.
Yeah.
They should have
There's a ton
started
of
creating their own
different
digital
ways.
games.
Yeah.
Like,
ton of different ways they could have done stuff.
Yeah.
In hindsight, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's at least as far as I'm concerned, kind of sad to see him go, but also you're kind of not needed anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just the times, man.
yeah, just the times.
Yep.
People can get their toys elsewhere.
Right.
Amazon.
That will be a topic later on. I think now is a good time to swing to your topic, Rob, if you want.
All right, I have a topic here that's been floating around the news lately, and it's about the astronaut's gene expression is no longer the same as his identical twin, NASA finds. So
It's crazy.
that is crazy to think about. That I mean, the details they don't go into a whole lot, and it kind of drives me nuts that like.
You can't do a little bit more research on it.
Yeah, like the details they give you are such like pop media like details, and just like I want to know the fucking like science of what the fuck is going on here, but they don't go into too much. But the guy clearly looks different than his former identical twin, and it says pretty much like none of the changes are really of any importance.
Yeah.
And he was gone for I believe a full year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I read
from,
that on there
from
as
what I was
well.
reading here.
It's a long time to be in space.
And most of his
Jesus.
DNA returned. There was a large portion, not a large portion, but a larger portion of it that essentially was altered. And then essentially after 2 years of him being back to Earth, 7% did not return to its original state. So he like not 7% of his cells essentially were altered and not the same. So it says he's officially no longer an identical twin of once he once was,
Officially.
which was weird.
That is really weird.
Did you read the retraction at the bottom of this article?
No, what does the retraction say?
Pretty much.
NASA's fake news.
NASA issued the following statement basically on March 15th stating that their DNA did not change at all. It was just their gene expression, and if anything, it was slight.
It was the gene expression,
Yeah.
and they said it would have no like real
Yeah.
meaning, or like it's kind of a nonsense story.
Yeah, long-term effects or anything.
But the part I wanted to kind of bring a part about this is just like how interesting it is that your DNA is being changed while you're away from this planet, and when you come back, it changes back to how it was before, and how what that could possibly mean if you were to never come back. Like how would it change? How would it alter? How would it never come back? How would your DNA be different?
You probably breathe differently, like so you're breathing a little bit less, so you're not taking up as much oxygen. I mean, we kind of adapt to our surroundings.
Slower.
People that live in the Middle East versus people that live in like a deciduous forest,
Right.
where obviously we're just adapting to our surroundings like most mammals do. So I think that's that gene expression. Yeah, gene expression. Like that was like the big signifier of like the retraction is they just added the word expression.
So, but that's huge though.
It is huge.
It doesn't mean that the actual genes themselves changed. It means what the genes, how it means the genetic response to a stimuli changed, which makes sense because if you're in a different environment, why would the stimuli be the same? For example, if you are here now, you're breathing just fine. You dive into a pool, you don't do the same thing. It changes because you're in a different environment. If you were, had an identical twin and you were separated at birth, and one went to, and the other went to Beijing, guarantee there's going to be some differences at the end of the day.
Oh, for sure.
So I think it's just the same thing, just happens to be in outer space.
I'm gonna beep out that city and state.
I think if you just decided
Springfield,
to buy
Illinois.
Springfield. If you just bought Levi jeans,
I'm gonna beep out the state in Springfield.
Oh God.
Springfield.
Just to help out the Simpsons.
I think you guys are not appreciating my Levi jeans joke.
Let's hear your Levi jeans joke. I missed it.
That was nothing.
Time has passed. It's over now.
It's already gone.
Time has passed.
It's dead.
So essentially, this guy, it was a stepping stone for a 3-year mission he's going to be doing here in the future.
3 years in space.
Which is, it's crazy to spend 3 years in space, but I think it's just really interesting to think that it is the gene expression is changing regardless. Stuff is changing just because you're not living out here. So
hey instead of hey. Yeah. The expression of it.
Do they have faster internet in space than we do down here?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to travel.
There's
travel
like 30
Get that galactic Wi-Fi.
Sure.
Deep rock galactic Wi-Fi.
Gotcha.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
Galactic Wi-Fi. No.
Faster internet.
I don't think they got faster internet.
Give me an Xbox, decent PC. Give me a guitar. I can spend 3 years in space. It'd be all right.
I mean, me, I'd break
as long as I don't have to do experiments. If I can do whatever I want and just eat food and like do it for an experiment, I think it'd be all right.
I mean, since the Earth is flat, I think they might. No, I'm just kidding. It's definitely not flat.
We know. I don't know. I haven't walked around it. Just take everybody's words for it.
We said anyone who mentions flat Earth gets stabbed with a sword.
That is actually, we did say that. We did say that.
So, go first.
Just take take his machete and just.
But what if they found, like, let's say, like, maybe a colony happened on Moon, Mars, wherever it may happen, and
Moon, Mars.
the old
the Moon of Mars.
Yeah, the Moon of Mars, Bruno Mars. But what if like they started finding out like all kinds of crazy shit, like your DNA is changing in such a way where like you're no longer held to like some of the physical laws of Earth, like. You've evolved because you haven't had to deal with gravity this strong in 50 years, and now like you're like immune to it.
You're just evolving. Like that's what I think when we were talking about when everybody like colonizing Mars, how we kind of touched on that a little bit. I think that would happen. Like colonizing Mars, I think you would adapt to like if you're outside a little bit more. If you change like maybe like the air pressure in the rooms changes slightly, like we'll adjust it 2%.
Did you guys ever see the movie called John Carter?
No,
I don't think anybody has.
That was a Disney film.
Yeah, it was a big bomb. So
yeah, it was a big bomb for sure.
Even 5 other people say it.
Yeah, well, being one of those, I owned a Microsoft Zune. Okay.
I was also
in this movie when he got transported to Mars. Essentially, I don't think I'm spoiling it for anybody because are you really going to watch it?
Might read the book.
In it, essentially, he just has the power to be super strong on Mars and the power to jump really high on Mars because
that's cool.
Lower gravity and everything. Do you think that if we came here or we came from Earth over to Mars You think that we would have the ability to jump higher for a little while until our muscles and everything adapted, realized we could use less energy and probably eat less, so we probably, to kind of counter your point a little bit, if we did go over there, I think that we would have the super strength and super jumping for a little while till our bodies adapted, and then we would slow down.
Just like coming back from space and 93% of his DNA went back, like, it would eventually, like, you would lose those abilities.
We're going to adapt.
Yeah.
Use less energy while we're out there.
Because we're talking about a fundamental change of how something reacts to something, right? That's what this whole conversation is about. So let me ask you guys this, just to give a comparison of something that's a little bit different, but kind of the same. If you took a magnet into space for 50 years and you brought it back to Earth, do you think iron would still be attracted to it?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Yes.
I bet it would.
I think so too. So that's the thing is, like, I think that's basically the same thing we're talking about, right? It's a comparable.
I don't think so. I think
organic beings versus
organic, yeah.
But we're not. I'm not.
You can also
we're talking about the effect
demagnetize a magnetit.
Magnetit. Hashtag magnetit.
Magnetit.
Man, I can't stop thinking about lava tits now. Magma tits. But or you could like charge one to. You can flip the polarities on them. So I mean, like you can fuck with that stuff, and you could demagnetize.
You can also clone primates. So
that was just unnecessary to my conversation.
Magnets are
space shuttle.
Primates.
But you're saying that as far as like being able to change shit like that, yeah, you can change shit like that in the human genome too. So what?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know where we're going no more.
Let's see.
So like that's what I'm saying is like you can change that shit. So like just because you can take a rock out and bring it back and it's still a magnet, like I think it's like a silly comparison to think that like a human who was away for 50 years would have the same reactions as a rock.
I think the brain's probably responsible for a little bit more of how our bodies can adapt without us physically doing that. I mean, obviously it is going to take a while. I mean, but I think the brain is a powerful thing as far as being able to gather our surroundings, figure out what it needs to do to make us operate a little bit more efficiently, and do that. I don't know. I think that was probably the best segue I've ever done to talk about musicians' telepathy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seemed pretty far off from what I was saying. I just
wanted to take over.
That's cool. That's fine.
Just wanted to take over.
We needed to stop. It was getting crazy.
Yeah, it was getting a little out of hand. Pretty much. I found a bunch of articles. These have been out for quite some time. They're really talking about the fact that when two or more musicians play together, they roll in with themselves and their brainwaves sync, and some people think that they have a low form of telepathy. They can, two musicians who have played with each other enough, having played a song that they have never played before, have a better chance at going to the same note than two musicians that have not played together before. Yes, they know what each other like. A couple people think that it's talking about micro-expressions, which is essentially just little tiny facial movements that somebody can see and pick up on. Maybe not something you notice physically, but your brain can process and respond to. I think that it's actually a little bit of a telepathy going on. I know that Ray agrees with me because he's nodding his head.
1,000%. Me and you have played music together, right? And we have not played, a lot of music together. But there's been several times where we've been just jamming a song and you just end at the same time. We just both knew it was the last note. Nobody planned it. Nobody talked about it. It just fucking happened that way. And I've had that same experience tons of times before.
Yeah.
It just...
Well, that could be just knowing when music ends. Just from
even though it's different every time, it's just we just knew.
I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was more along the lines of like. I was trying to find the words here, but I thought this was more along the lines of like. I play this part, and I'm in place A, and musician like B is just like, I'm gonna also play this song at this moment. Because like we used to play all together all the time.
No, it's
what you're saying is just like
when two
people
play
can
together.
just like jam and we know what we're doing.
Yeah, essentially. The articles that we brought up, and anyways, at least one of them, anyways, the two that I read out of the 3 that I posted. We're talking about the fact that, just like you said, when you're playing the same song at the same time, your brains synchronize. They show the same patterns in both ways.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And they can even do that before the song has started playing. So you guys both put yourself in that same mindset to play the same song, which is totally believable. I get that as well. But I proposed an added feature, which is telepathy, the ability to know how your partner or your corresponding person playing with you is going to respond. And
I don't think it's telepathy.
Telepathy.
I don't think it's telepathy. I don't think telepathy's ever been proven any scientific way at all.
Proven?
I think
No.
it's microexpressions more so in that study.
Other than the CIA spent millions of dollars researching it.
So
that
doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, they can also clone monkeys. So.
Space shuttle.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you can see like people who've never played together, like somewhat like a street performer just playing, and some dude just walks up and like they just kind of when you know things about music more than other people, you're more prone to be like, oh, I know
Like,
he's
you
gonna
feel
go.
the rhythm.
I know he's
I
gonna
don't
go
know
to
what
the
that
break
is.
right here because it's the
But there's
third
no way
step
you can
in the
know
bar.
that. There's no way
Well, of course
you
you
can know that.
could. Like I do it all the fucking time.
You can assume, but you can't.
Like,
know
Yeah,
for
there's no
sure.
way you could know with 100%
No, you
certainty
couldn't.
this is going to happen.
And you don't.
I do.
No.
I do.
You just said there isn't a way. But I mean, if you know like the sequence of music, this is when the bridge starts, this is when the bridge ends, this is when the solo happens, this is the chorus. We know like the measures of music, like you're more in tune to stop and start when you know it's time.
I guess to compare that to something though, like if you were to take a bunch of all the ingredients that ever existed to cook with and compare that to music, all the notes that can be played. That's like saying the dude, somebody can just show up and just know
Exactly.
what ingredients you're going to
Like
put
someone's
in.
gonna walk in and be
just by
like, "It looks like you're ready to crack the eggs now," and they'd be like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And it's like, "Because I've cooked fucking before." This is where the eggs come.
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot more nuance to it than that because it's not. There's
Well,
not
I do
a
too.
formula. You
But
know,
I don't
there's
think
no-
it's like
You just don't want to
telepathy.
believe in telepathy.
If it was happening like you were playing the bass of a song and you were playing the rhythm of a song in separate places in like a live stream at the same time, and somehow you guys were just playing at the exact same pace, like at the same part of the song, I'd be like, that's fucking music telepathy is what that is, and there's no other way around it. But if like, I don't know, it's just weird. I think there's probably just a little more explainable science to it than just like, if you were to just take two dudes who didn't know how to play a guitar and just like threw them together and they just started to be like, what the fuck? And they just started playing.
Which has happened for sure.
That would be amazing.
So I don't know. From what I get out of it is you want a scientific explanation. You just don't want the word telepathy to be used.
I would like to.
So telepathy can exist. You just can't be called that.
No, I think it's just more like you said. Like if you laid out all these ingredients and started cooking, like they wouldn't know. And I'm like, yeah, they would. They'd be like, now it's time to do the bread. It's bread time now. And they'd be like, yeah, you're right. How did you know that? And they wouldn't be like, telepathy.
Yeah, but they do all that exactly as you just said, but they never had that conversation.
Right,
do.
because
But do you
they're
think
just familiar with the process.
If two chefs were cooking the same thing and you hooked them an EEG or an EKG or whatever it's called to their brains, do you think that they would have the same brainwave pattern?
I think it'd be similar
I
because
don't know.
maybe not exactly the same, but I did see that same study with the two musicians that were playing like the same song. But obviously, if I'm plucking the same, I don't know anything about music. I'm just gonna preface that. So like bridges, I have no idea what that is. It's something you cross. I'm basically like Stephen Hawking trying to swim in the deep end of a pool.
Transition from one point to the other point.
Yeah, so I just think like obviously you're strumming with your right hand, like that part of your brain's like right hand strum, and like the other person's doing the same thing. So it's going to be a similar pattern there. I don't think it's like a form of like brain connection, but like yet again, I'm out of my depth here, so it's kind of me grabbing at straws.
The big part for me was the fact that it starts before the song starts, before they start playing at all. Like the brainwaves start syncing up before you play the song, which I guess I can understand if you're listening to like a click track or something like that. Okay, this is what I'm gonna have to do first. I'm gonna freeze in this moment and think this one thought. Yeah. Until we start.
Well, we also have to define telepathy. Like, some people probably think a different form of telepathy than another. So it's really the definition of it. Like, like if you're playing with somebody, like obviously you guys together, like how you said even before you're like better friends, transmitting a feeling to somebody else, I'm pretty sure like that's a thing. Like if your manager's having a shitty day at work, that's gonna rub off on pretty much everybody there. Or if somebody's just standing next to you on the subway and they're just like fucking angry and you can just like feel that anger like coming towards you. It might be something similar to that where like you're both like jamming on that same wavelength.
So can you tell me the difference between what that is and what telepathy is?
Like if I'm thinking of a cow, like I can't just force that into your brain like
without saying the word cow.
Yeah, like if I start mooing maybe, but like I don't know, like I see telepathy, my definition is like I'm thinking of something, like can you guess it?
I guess there's probably that's a good point to make. There's probably multiple levels of telepathy.
Everybody has their pretty much own definition.
Because there's those moments when just like you can be dealing with something at like a job and you just kind of fucking like look over at your fucking coworker and you know exactly what the fuck you're both thinking. Yeah. You're just like, you fucking lock eyes, just like,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, there's like, that could be a form of telepathy. I mean, it's like,
that's true.
You're fucking locking eyes, you're not saying anything, but like, you're both on the same, like,
I think it is.
See this shit?
I think it is. I really think it is.
I wonder how often that happens in the two people in this conversation are not thinking the same thing.
One's like, we're definitely thinking the same thing.
No.
One's like, fuck this person. You're like, dude, that person.
Interesting
sweet.
thing you
like,
said
I want a
earlier was...
fucking want a sandwich.
You said magicians instead of musicians.
Yeah, I did say that.
And I think that'd be like an interesting thing to think of, like, you got... you know, two magicians essentially doing the same part of the trick. It's like, how do you know it's done? Well, because I've done this trick a million times. It's not because I'm telepathic.
Yeah.
But the difference is, like, with music, it's not like there is a completely 100% defined structure for this is how it must be.
Yeah, it's like a magician on stage getting ready to perform a magician. Like a magician performing a trick. And then another magician shows up in between, or like in the middle of his trick, and says, "I've never seen this trick before. I'm gonna do it with you," and finishes it perfectly.
Right.
Right, because like once the lady saw it in half, like that's it.
Right,
we
but
know it's done.
That's still assuming using the magician scenario
That's an awful
or
analogy.
comparison. That's assuming that the magician that showed up knows every trick that the other magician knows. But that, I mean, what's the chances
we're
of
just
that?
familiar with magic, and we know when stuff starts and when it ends. That's all.
Or you're just familiar, with like sleight of hand.
Like you're sitting there, you finished a trick,
audience.
and you're sitting there just like, I'm missing something here. The crowd's clapping, but I don't know. Is this the end? Let me keep cutting her in half. See what happens.
Wait until the children scream.
But no, I mean, I do believe in like this kind of shit for sure, because like, I mean, I see people like jam all the time, and it's just like, I know they've never played it like this before. You can just tell this is all freeform. They're just kind of looking at each other, just fucking jamming. They're in the zone.
Yeah.
So I mean, that definitely happens. I just think it's more along the lines of like, I know how you play and I'm familiar with it, and or at least I know how music goes and when it starts and stops.
Skill, logic, that sort of thing.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, do you think that telepathy is real?
No.
Go around the table, starting with Rob. You don't think that it's possible at all? You don't think the human brain is powerful enough to send a signal?
Well, I guess it depends, again, how you define it. Like that saying, like, if like someone just yelled out something super fucking racist and you and your friend look at each other like, the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, you're both communicating without words. That's kind of a form of telepathy, but like at the truest form, like I can put any thoughts in your head or read what you guys are thinking. No,
Well, I mean, countless governments
has
has done the remote viewing thing, and I think that would be some sort of telepathy as well. I mean, it's a different form, I'm sure, but they've invested a bunch of money into doing
a lot of
bunch
things.
of different things.
I was going to say,
True.
they've invested a lot of money into a lot of things that are pointless, too.
That's true. That's true. What about Ryan? You think that telepathy is possible?
Fuck no.
No?
Not like from like how we were talking about like transmitting like just thoughts to another like brain, but
Gotcha.
no.
And I actually have followed the studies of like Robert Monroe, and I got a couple of books on remote viewing and people who've supposedly worked for the CIA doing remote viewing, and you know, you can only believe so much when you're reading a book that you paid for. I would literally, for me to truly believe in remote viewing, I would have to like
Remote view.
that for one, or just like if for someone who had mastered the art of it, be like, I'm gonna take you somewhere that only I have been, and you're gonna have to describe it to it in vivid detail or draw a picture or something, and like it have to match up, and I would be like, okay, remote viewing, because like I've read the books, firm believer, tried to do it so many times, and just could never ever do anything like that. So it's with that point for like, unless I run my own studies and see it with my own eyes, it's not going to be a believable thing for me.
And I think, well, that brings a whole different monster into it. I think if you don't believe that your brain doesn't have that audacity that's holding you back, you essentially have to break free, take the red pill, so to speak. You have to be willing to accept that it's possible before it is.
I don't agree with that.
No?
No. That was like the idea of the classic tale of the first time like Indians saw ships coming to the shore. They actually couldn't see them because they didn't believe, they had no concept of it. So when they looked out the shore, they just saw, or they looked out to the ocean, they just saw ocean and couldn't physically see the ships because they had no concept of the ships. Their minds couldn't even like put it together.
No, I think that it's
not-
more or
I
less
don't-
you just don't know how to control what signals you're receiving. I think that maybe we're all constantly receiving signals. And
Yeah, I don't think
we
that's
just tune
comparing the
them
same
out.
things.
Well, you're saying just like you have to see it to believe it or to know it can be done.
For example,
No,
let me
well,
put
go
this
ahead.
other comparison into it. The 4-minute mile. People tried for millennia to run the 4-minute mile. Never happened. People thought like all sorts of, like, you can look it up. People thought all sorts of crazy shit would happen if you ran a 4-minute mile. Like your heart would explode and fucking your lungs would collapse and all sorts of just nonsense. You know, that's what we believed for hundreds of years. And then one day, dude just ran a 4-minute mile. And then within like 5 years, like multiple
did.
people ran 4-minute miles. And it was that seeing it and believing it was a reality is what actually drove people to be able to do it. And I feel like, as far as how I feel about telepathy, I think it's the same thing as far as like the minor, well, I'll call it minor levels of telepathy, where you and your buddy see the racist dude, you look at each other and you have that you know, that exchange. That what I would call it minor telepathy, but the ability to view the thought that's in someone's head right now, that's major telepathy. I guess I'll define it like that just for right now. And so I think both are probably possible, but we don't experience the major telepathy because, I mean, how many hours a day does anybody actually put in that? You said you tried it, but like how many hours of study did you put in? As much time as a Shaolin monk does to?
Oh, absolutely not.
So you know what I mean? Where if
I did.
But it was definitely enough time to be like, if there was something here, there would be something here.
maybe
Because it's not like, I just don't think you'd have to like, because that first guy, right? The first guy did it. He ran the 4-minute mile.
But it took a millennia for that guy to come around. More
Well,
than a
no,
millennia.
no, it didn't take a millennia. No one was running miles for any reason before, like, you know, no one was running miles a few hundred years ago.
I
No
bet
one was-
2000 BC,
there's no-
there was somebody running from a lion being like, you know what? I'm going to time this.
I like
Get
how
on
you're
my-
using a
my
stopwatch thing. Like
stopwatch.
they had it back then.
time
He's
this.
just doing that to a dandelion.
So it's like one of those things where just like, I don't know. I just don't think that's the case of having to be like, I'm saying like I have to see it to believe it, but also it's like it's kind of a catch-22 because it's
You don't know if it's real when you're seeing
Yeah.
it.
yeah. So
Right.
that
You have to
not only
experience
that,
it to
but like
What is reality?
So to do
if that
so
was
to
the
do
case,
a recap.
no one would exist, and like nothing would be a reality because it just doesn't
So we
make
got
any
a.
sense.
Do you believe it's real? We got a no, yes, and a maybe.
Well, we've got it's a little bit more detailed than that. I'm pretty sure we've got a straight up no. We got to prove it.
Yeah,
We've got with
essentially the agnostics.
hundreds of
like,
years of practice.
No one can know.
And with the flick of a switch. Pretty much,
See, maybe
you just gotta believe.
You just gotta be away from this planet for 10 years.
DNA's got to change.
Maybe.
Just gotta change that DNA. There's
Go to the
something,
Mars moon.
There's something about like the gravity or like the polarity of this planet that's just like keeping us from exploring our true potentials.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Something in the sky.
Is it Lucy?
There could be
Does she have diamonds?
There could be something in the sky. I don't know if anyone's got any stories about that or anything. But
Yeah, I was just trying to move to that next. So let me ask you guys a quick question before we get into it. What's your thoughts on chemtrails?
Bullshit.
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 I was a firm believer in chemtrails for a very, very long time, but I started doing a lot of research, and I don't think there's definitely something strange about like the difference between like a contrail and like a trail that'll just stay there for all day.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little more. I think chemtrails is a little too simple. I think it's a little more complicated than that.
Chemical trails. Man, that's the base
Sure.
root of the word,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I thought it was a band.
So, but okay. So, what about weather modification? You guys believe that exists?
I don't know. I'm kind of like a maybe.
I'd
like,
say for sure. I'm pretty sure our government has admitted to seeding clouds in several wars.
Yeah, we've been
they
seeding
do.
clouds since the 1940s. Cloud seeding is real. That's without a doubt a fact. Look it up. The United Arab Emirates. That's like what they do to get rain there because it's a fucking desert.
They have to.
seed
They
the
have to do
clouds.
it. Right.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't understand what it means, explain cloud seeding.
Cloud seeding is a process by which you inject a chemical into the structure of the cloud, and there are probably many different versions of this, but the most prevalent way of doing it is, I believe, I can't remember, what was the chemical? Sodium?
Silver iodide.
Silver iodide. So they launch silver iodide into the air, and it has a very particular structure as far as its
Elemental makeup.
It's not just its elemental makeup. It's actually its crystalline structure. So, and that's similar enough to ice, where when water molecules touch it, it turns it into ice and starts the ice process, which increases the rainfall or snowfall or
The cooling of the water
precipitate,
molecules.
yeah, in an area.
Monocles?
So I had what strikes me as odd is how we're like, okay, yeah, silver iodide, weather modification, it's real, definitely real. We definitely do it. We do it since the 1940s. Everybody admits it, but as soon as you use the word chemtrail, people are like, oh, no, that we don't do that. But it's like, really, what the fuck is the difference?
One's accusing like the government of poisoning people that like they live with. There's no like reasoning behind like chemtrails in general.
Right.
From a lot of things I read.
There's a big difference between like seeding clouds so people can grow crops and like seeding clouds so like tanks can't drive and we can just murder everybody. So it's like, I mean, it's kind of simple as that. Like they're just, it can be used for evil, it can be used for good, just like most things.
But I guess even further than that, not even the person's intent or the organization's intent that's doing whatever, don't care what it is, you know, cloud seeding or chemtrails, whatever. It doesn't even matter if those in those categories. It's what about the unknown things that occur 100 years in the future that we didn't think about?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I mean, if that was the case, then it's just like, well, let's not do anything because stuff might happen in 100 years. Yeah. But
I'm not going to
it's
try.
not
was there any
telepathy
proof that silver
it's never gonna
iodide
happen.
had negative effects on people's health?
I don't know. I
That's what I
haven't
was
seen
looking
that yet.
for, and I didn't see anything like that. It could be, but it's going to be
Sounds
one of
like
those
it does.
things. So, like, let's say that like in 100 years it kills 1,000 people.
But we know
for the last 100 years, it's saved 200 million because we've allowed them to
for sure,
eat.
for sure. But then we
Would
also
you kill
know
one innocent person to save a million?
I'll kill anyone for any reason.
Fair enough.
Just give me point to them.
Wrong
Give
person
me
to
a reason.
ask.
But it's interesting. I guess what the I was reading here is that Colorado has a program that's paid for by the essentially taxpayers here, and it's to seed the clouds to make it snow to make sure that their ski resorts stay snowy. And it's got some crazy stuff in here. Most of the river basin is experiencing a drought because not only with the chemical they use, they also have to, unless I'm reading this wrong, also still have to fill it with whatever they want it to do, whether it's they still need it to snow, they got to get the moisture up there for it to freeze, silver iodide or not. So
Just point a hose up.
increase it. I
Spray
mean,
the
from
sky
what
with
I'm reading,
water.
I may be reading this wrong. I've read it like 3 times, but it makes it sound like they're pulling the moisture essentially from the river, and the river is catching a drought because they're seeding the clouds from this river.
So they're unnaturally grabbing water from the
River to seed it, so like the millionaires can ski in the Colorado mountains. I mean, I may be reading this wrong, but I've read it several times, and I feel like that's what it's conveying to me here,
Nestle's not going to be happy about
which
that.
is a problem.
harder to bottle the water when it's in the sky.
It is.
Everyone starts
It
to get
is.
nervous when there's no snow in Colorado, is a quote here from a scientist. But I guess your reason for bringing it up is
I just want a general discussion about it. I think it's funny that
people will deny it exists.
people
And
deny
then
whether
accept that it
modification exists, but it's like this definitely exists, but chemtrails definitely don't exist. And it's like there's so much information and so much you can find on this that like it's so hard. This is to me is one of the hardest things. You know how some things you can look at and you're like, oh, I feel like with 93.5% certainty that is bullshit. And this is to me one, and I feel like I'm pretty good at that for the most part. But this is one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. There's
prove me
so
wrong.
much information.
Prove it real to me.
Here's
tell me some
my
facts.
my kind of take on the chemtrails. If you wanna bring it back real quick,
Sure.
Is there's been a million things debunking them, being like it's just nothing. Don't worry about it. But from my exhaustive research on this silly topic, I guess the best way to explain it from my perspective would be people are very smart, a lot smarter than anyone here, and they get paid a lot of money to be a lot smarter than anyone else, 10 steps ahead of everyone else. Essentially like CIA tacticians, much like a gentleman from like
Sherlock
law-abiding
Holmes
citizen.
level. Sure.
Like that guy is 10 steps ahead of everyone. There's no way you could ever fuck with that guy. He's just always paid, just so smart to be 10 steps ahead of everyone. So the fact of the matter is they do put special chemicals in jet fuel, whether they're to make the jet run a particular way or for whatever reason, nefarious or not. There's a lot of chemicals in jet fuel. That's a fact. And in a day, any given day, there's over 100,000 flights. Over 100,000 flights. So the real thing here is that we're just constantly being doused with jet fuel. Like when you're outside, you're breathing it in, it's seeping into your skin. They did a test on 100 pregnant ladies' breast milk, and they found it in 100 jet fuel in 100% of the breast milk. So I think it's one of those things where it's just like there's someone out there a lot smarter creating this chemtrail conspiracy just to keep people like, these chemtrails, when like the fact of the matter is there's over 100,000 flights and you're dumping fuel on us all the time. No matter if you're outside, you're just getting jet fuel dumped on you. Like whether you can see a trail in the sky or not, it's just always happening all the time because there's just so many flights every single day. It's just a part of the atmosphere now. So, I mean, that essentially was my take on it. It's just like, we can call it chemtrails, we can call it contrails, we can call it whatever we want. The fact of the matter is that there's over 100,000 flights a day, and they're all dumping gas.
Yeah.
Or at least exhaust of some kind that is
Right.
not healthy for anyone.
Yeah.
So I think the chemtrails is kind of like, again, in my opinion, is like the mouse, or the mouse and the cheese. Like, keep the mouse chasing the cheese, when really, the goal's much larger and broader than that.
Sure.
At least in my opinion, again.
Well, I guess then when you look at that versus how many automobile,
Same thing, right?
yeah. So bottom line is, last
Don't
episode we
breathe.
talked about water-powered cars. That's what we need. We need the water-powered car and water-powered planes. Water-powered. We need Nestle to hook us up.
Come on, Nestle.
Yeah. Don't,
Stop the chemtrails,
Nestle,
Nestle.
don't watch that last video. But we're
Or
big
this
fans all of a sudden.
Giant fans.
So, chemtrails, are you for them?
Chemtrails.
But I mean, I've
say yeah.
given my
I
opinion
say
on
yeah.
them, and I mean, that's kind of how I feel. It's just it's kind of that pseudo story to keep people busy, when it's just like,
Let me
we
touch
got
on one-
fuel dumping on us,
One
guys.
other topic there, and that's kind of why I included this down there, is just because there's so much info about chemtrails, contrails in that area on the internet, on what you can find. It's astounding how much information there is. Have you guys ever done any research on Wilhelm Reich?
No.
I included one link in there to this guy. He's kind of really nifty character. Eventually, this is a story. He ended up discovering this thing called orgone energy, and he was able to use this energy in multiple devices to do a series of different things, whether it was making people healed from different ailments, or being able to run specific types of motors off of the energy. There's a bunch of different uses he was able to conclude. Turned out, after all this research was done, he was able to actually also use that same type of energy to do weather modification. You can make it rain in places where there are droughts, and make it stop raining in places where there's just torrential downpour of, for weeks on end. So this was done back in the early 1900s. This guy was around. He ended up getting sued by the FDA and got taken out of commission, sent to prison, where he later died. And while he was in prison, all of his books were burned. And I think it's funny that if all of this were true, or weren't true, if he was just some crackpot crazy, that people would, the United States government would use that kind of resource, to take this dude to jail, to burn all of his shit, to confiscate all of his stuff. Like, if it's not real, why would you wasting your time, energy, or money on it?
Right.
So that's just bringing it back, I guess, to slightly onto the weather modification thing, because that's actually what he ended up going to jail for, was his cloudbuster.
Do you think? Oh God, I'm gonna get stabbed by the door. Do you think if
Cloudbuster.
do you think that
Mega Man
if the scientific community could go back in time and round up all the people that were talking about the flat Earth theory again, and just debunk all their shit right now, that they would do it?
What do you mean? Like, go back to 1,000 years ago? And be
Well,
like,
no,
the
just like
world is
the
round, yo.
The
people,
world is
like,
a vampire.
I'm pretty sure, 40, 50 years ago, I don't know how long it was, that it was just accepted that the Earth was round.
Because they thought
Brian,
it was
you're gonna get
flat
stabbed
for
by
a
that
really long
sword for a
time,
whole different reason.
and then they
And then popular figures just started saying it.
Galileo, I forget who,
Fucking-
was just like, the world is round, get over it.
Yeah.
The one guy,
And everyone was like, that's fucking silly. I can see it's not round. What do you-
Copernicus
Yeah.
was, I believe, the guy who was the first inventor of the telescope.
He's a navigator for sure.
Galileo, was that the guy who took the poison? Was like, no, I'll just die. You guys are dumb.
I just
Juliet.
want the poison.
Right.
So you were saying about Wilhelm?
Wilhelm Reich.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's funny that, how the United States government can, again, take this time, money, resources, throw a person in jail, and destroy all their work if there was no merit to it? Why? If
I think it's funny too.
And,
I would have to do research on.
Yeah, I don't know much about the character.
What was his deal again?
Well, the reason why he ended up getting thrown in jail was because they ended up getting the FDA to finally come after him for his Cloudbuster. And they ended up getting him on a technicality because one of his buddies ended up taking the equipment across the state line that he wasn't supposed to take it across. It was just
And the Cloudbuster did what?
The Cloudbuster was able to make it rain or not rain, depending on what he had it tuned
It could
to do.
dissolve a cloud or make one.
Essentially, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Cool. I remember they did that. They did that on MythBusters one time. They created a cloud over an ocean, and it supposedly had absorbed evaporated water and moved over a city and made it rain.
I mean, we've heard about
They
stories
just
of
did it
people
with-
in the past doing.
I mean, they did that with the budget of an episode of a Discovery, Channel show.
Well, I mean, quite arguably the most popular Discovery Channel show ever.
Well, for sure, but I'm saying you have probably. I mean, I can't imagine what the budget was for an episode. I can't imagine it was much over like 10, 15K.
I think I've seen them blow
Sure.
up 10, 15K
Oh, yeah, I was
worth of
gonna say,
stuff.
I'm sure it's higher.
For sure.
It's got to be higher. I watched them blow up a cement truck.
I don't know if that's available like readily, but like that kind of shit is most likely like donated. Perhaps.
Yeah, a lot of
Just
stuff
like
is
they
donated.
go and they're just like, hey, do you have any dump
cars
trucks you're not
donated
using?
all the
Yeah.
time, and they said it on their show. Like, this was donated by this person from
Yeah.
this place. Thank you so much for the donation.
I
We're
mean,
gonna blow it up.
I guess either way, whether it's 10,000 or 100,000, whatever their budget per episode, like this is being done on a massive level by a TV show company who just like, here's our budget for one episode. How much is it?
Pretty realistic.
He said the budget for the materials per episode was typically between 5,000 and 10,000, but it goes as low as $150 up to 100,000.
So it was less
Yeah,
than
just-
even thought.
Yeah, just so I mean, just
If you
with
get
that
one
being
episode a
said,
season, you get 100,000 on.
yeah, it's like we spent $150
average.
in this
The
episode, so we
Rocket
get to
Car
spend
episode was the most expensive one.
200,000 or not 200,000, but like 15,000 in this next one because we only spent 150 in this one. I don't know. Well, I guess
Well, still,
none
for
of
$100,000,
Yeah.
you can
essentially
create a cloud.
or for maybe a lot less, maybe
Probably way
$7,000.
less than that.
So essentially, what they did is they just bought a bunch of flares that just let off, like instead of smoke, they let off moisture, and they just let off. They had like a barge out on the ocean, and they just ripped them all off at the same time, and they just put all the moisture right up in the air, and they just created a cloud just like that. So I mean, if it can be done by a couple of dudes who got $7,000 in their pocket, like if you're an evil organization or a good dude who's busting clouds, I mean it
Or making it rain in the desert.
yeah, like who's to say what they can do with $1 billion if they can do that with a couple thousand?
I bet you they could change someone's DNA in space.
And clone monkeys. Huh?
Space shuttle.
Good segue to Amazon Prime.
Perfect. Perfect segue.
It's a real smooth segue there.
Smoothest.
Chinese monkeys and Amazon Prime.
Smoother than those
Smoothest segue since that time George Bush fell off one.
IR baboon. 64% of American households have Amazon Prime.
64%.
64.
That is crazy.
That's 64 out of 100 for those of you at home that
Yeah.
Now that
need some
just
help with that.
Like who here
think about
has
the
Amazon
profits.
Prime? Yeah.
Got Amazon Prime.
100%.
every
We just
time
did
I'm
this
like,
survey, 100% of Americans
100%.
have it.
Who here lives in a household where there are more than you own Amazon Prime in the household?
I live by myself, so no.
not me. I usually just have to end up ordering for whoever needs it, girlfriend. But
But 50% of us still.
it's
Yeah,
just
that's
it's
crazy.
just such a tremendous value because if you do cancel it, you go to order something, and it's like $13 to have it shipped, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, just get Amazon Prime for a month, save the $2.
Yeah.
And then like you have it. I usually like think I don't have it, and I'm just like I find out I have it, and it's one of those really sneaky charges where it's just like you forget that you just got it for the sake of like ordering that one thing, and all of a sudden 4 months later you're like, I guess I could sign up again to get this free shipping, and you
Yeah.
find out you've been signed up the entire time. But again, it's got a tremendous value. I mean, just for the shipping alone, if you order enough stuff off Amazon,
I got some shit delivered me on Sunday last week.
Oh yeah,
It's so crazy. Let's talk about all the benefits of it. A lot of people probably don't even use Amazon Music.
Nope.
Amazon Music's actually really good.
it's pretty sweet.
Amazon Music, instant video, like that's huge, honestly. Like if you've never checked out instant video and you're paying for Prime, check it out.
What's instant video?
It's like Netflix, Amazon's Netflix. Or
Oh,
Hulu.
it's
They
just
got some
called instant
original.
video?
They
Yeah.
got some original content on there as
I've
well.
used that before, yeah.
Yeah, I have that link that I sent to the group me, just talking about like how many subscribers they gained from just the original content, like Man in the High Castle. I forget the name of the one where there was that dude transitioning to a woman. Won a few awards, and then I think they have a few other
from,
like the Tick.
The gentleman from Arrested Development, Jeffrey Tambor.
Yeah, him. So many
Yeah.
benefits to it, like shipping.
The
same-day
shipping.
stuff.
They also have, if you're a fan of Twitch, you're automatically in Twitch Prime. You get to submit a free subscription to someone, so you get to support someone and give them a couple dollars in their bank account just by having that. So that's really cool.
That is really cool.
You also get a part of Twitch Prime. They have bonuses every month, a handful of them. Sometimes it's stuff in game. I just got some shit from Fortnite
Oh yeah, I seen that.
because I was in Twitch Prime. I just
Madden 18 does the
slid
same thing.
over.
Really?
Super Hot is, I believe, one of their free games on Xbox as well as Amazon Prime right now, so you can get it on PC if I'm not mistaken. So some cool features there. You also get unlimited photo storage
Yeah, that's pretty
by
cool.
being a Prime member as well, so that's really cool. There's a lot of cool shit in there that a lot of people just aren't taking
I heard you
advantage
get
of.
like magazine subscriptions as well.
Probably.
Like I keep getting emails about it. I just never.
I
look at it 'cause
also
don't
get
give a shit
something about like
magazines, but-
an Audible, something about Audible as well.
Yeah, I think they own
own it.
Audible. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but there's also some benefit with Audible as well.
Yeah, I think
by
you get so
having
many
it.
free downloads for like certain books, maybe.
Yeah, I forget exactly what it is.
Certain
I don't think
books
it's
are
like I think it's a certain books are free, not like
That's
a free
probably
book
true
a month.
because I use
Yeah.
Audible and I don't ever really get anything out of it because
Yeah.
I cancel my Audible subscription. It's not as I don't find the value in it like I do Amazon.
Should
And-
back out and see if you can sign in with an Amazon account.
I mean, can we talk about that for a minute? The price. I wish Audible was more like a Netflix where I could pay $15. I know it's like I think it's $14.99, right?
Yeah.
In Netflix,
And you
you
own
have
the book.
access to like so much, and that's the difference owning as opposed to streaming. But I don't need to own an audiobook. That's silly.
Want to listen to it once and be done.
Yeah, like just let me stream it. So I would pay $15 a month. It'd be cool if it was like $9.99, but I would be willing to pay, or even a little more than that, maybe $19.99 a
I think
month
we're that-
for the ability to just go, I want this book today, stop it, and be like,
Not for me.
or just like I'll come back to that later. Like
Right.
it's not, I'm not feeling it right now. Let me listen to
I
this
think
book.
where a lot of that comes in is how do you manage profits and pay out royalties and such to different voice actors and shit like that. If it's a
in the same way
subscription
you
base.
do with like Netflix and paying them royalties. How would it be any different than that?
Just because like
Anytime someone plays it, you get X percentage.
Sure. But the difference, I guess, would be like if someone's paying a flat. I just don't know if it's as popular as a service. So if it's
It's definitely not as a popular service, but
so do you get the numbers to be able to do that? You know what I mean?
You don't innovate, you die. Everybody's streaming now. I mean, you should really start streaming.
maybe that's the
because-
problem. Maybe if they dropped it down to, or not even dropped it, but just said stream whatever the fuck you please,
Yeah.
they'd have
$15
as
a month.
Maybe they'd have more.
10,
I guarantee you
15.
this: if I could, if
I might
pay
try
for
it for a
that.
month.
Yeah, I would pay 15 all day for that because I know I have I would listen to enough audiobooks to make it worth it.
For sure.
But like $15, that's essentially, or what is it? 1 credit a month they give you. So it's like it's worth 1 audiobook a month, which I would listen to more than 1 audiobook a month for sure. But I just don't, for $15, it's just the value's not there for what you can get $15 for paying it to YouTube, $15 paying it to Amazon, $15 paying it to any of this other company. You can get a lot fucking more. than you can
just-
from
I
It
mean-
depends on who you are and what you do. I mean,
Right. But like Netflix is an example. You got a movie that costs several $100 million to produce, but yet I have access to it for like $8 a month.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
just like obviously like the Avengers cost more to produce than like a book. So like, why is there like such a huge disconnect? Why is it double the price for Audible when all you're getting is just like Audible words, when that book cost nothing to produce? And you're paying
just
like
cost that dude's time, whoever recorded.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you're paying
paying
the
that person.
the voice person. You're probably paying for studio time, but like comparing the
Yeah.
$10,000 that it probably cost that person to record that to like 200 million or whatever it may be to make like an
Yeah.
Avengers film, it's
I
like,
think it's
why is it double the
I
price
think
and
it's
you
a
get
supply
nothing?
and demand thing. I think
You think that's what it is?
It's gotta be. I can't think of any logical reason other than that.
Like there's just not that many people interested in books. Wouldn't it be the
There-
other way
yeah.
around then? Like
no, 'cause
we gotta,
when
no one's
there's-
interested. We gotta like $3.
Right,
$3
because
a month.
the supply is smaller, but the demand for them is going to be the same. For example, if you're not a reader, but I'm a reader, I'm willing to pay, whatever for a book where you might not see the value in that at all ever. You might never pay for a book.
Right.
Or, like Brian, I'm not even sure he knows how to read.
Yeah, I do my best not to.
So it's like that market difference where everybody wants to consume video content. It's just there's a mesmerizing effect.
I bet if they changed their structure, I bet I mean, obviously you're not going to have as many subscribers as a Netflix, but I think you would see I would love to have Audible. Like I always, every once in a while I sign up, I end up downloading like the free audiobook, and it just like ends up not being like what I expected. And I'm just like, well, I could pay for the service and maybe get a shitty book next month. Well, I just like, yeah, you know what? I'm all set. I'll torrent a couple audiobooks that I do want and call it
Chances
a
are,
day.
by the themes that we've been seeing from our
Legally.
podcast already, sometime in the next 4 or 5 days, Audible will probably start their streaming service because now we've talked about it. So
That'd be really
work,
rad.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just bring it into fruition. That'd be really cool.
To get back on track about Amazon, I think since Amazon obviously owns it, I think if they just did like a lot lower price, I guys are talking like just do it like $5 a month, like insanely low, where like people like me, because I don't even know how the structure Audible is set up. Like I think I did a free trial once, like 5 years ago, when Amazon probably didn't own it, and I thought it was a streaming service. So this is catching me off guard. So I think if they do kind of like what MoviePass did to completely, that scared me. Basically, I think that if they put it to that $5 mark and they just drew a bunch of people to them, and then they were just like, oh, cool, and then like eventually change it, just how like that's how Amazon came to be. Like, they were taking such a loss for how much they were making as a profit as a company, and then eventually turning a profit. I mean, that's exactly what MoviePass did. They were like $5 or $10 a month. You can see a movie a day.
But
They're not getting money. Like, they know they're not.
think about that on the other side of it. What is Amazon Prime, like $11? It's like $10.99, $11.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Think it's just that in the shipping alone, the value is just insane. Like, especially if you're ordering shit every couple of days, like that's an insane value that you have for $12, and you're paying an entire army of people to drive and fly. Drive and fly all around the goddamn country, but like it's also like $14.99 for me to like own one audiobook.
Have you seen the process? Yeah,
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
do you see the process of like? Have you ever like just YouTubed a video of like how the next day shipping works? It's insane. Like, I never knew that the amount of planes that UPS has and the amount of planes that FedEx
I
has.
just imagine unending streams of Peyton Manning's just throwing your shit across the country.
It's crazy. It really is crazy if you get a chance to watch one of those videos, because like you would think like, oh, like I'm getting next day shipping. You order it at like 7 o'clock at night, and it's just like, oh, well, there's
Still
like
there.
a plane that flies here, and they drop it off, and like then they deliver it to me. But it'll be like completely crazy. Is like you'll order it'll be on a plane like within the next 7 minutes. It'll be flying over to like Japan to hit this connecting flight to take it to Indonesia.
It's insane.
Like it's insane how far like these packages will travel in a very short period
Not
of
that
time.
I love insurance
and the
companies.
logistics.
Shurion does the same
For
thing
sure.
with phones. Like, how the fuck do you get 24-hour phones the next day?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, same thing. Where it's just like they just got to be like, okay, the only way we can get it there is and it, like it makes it there, and like the
And that
logistics
costs you
behind that is
nothing if you're
insane.
Prime.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. But like if I
Could you
want to
imagine if you
own
had
one
to-
audiobook.
If you were a human, taking that same trip as your fucking your pajama pants you just bought, how much would that cost you in tickets to make that flight? Like,
it'd be thousands of dollars
For sure.
and you do it for like $12 a month.
Yeah,
At a
Several
day's
times.
notice, 24 hours notice.
yeah, several times.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Can you imagine if, like, obviously our location here is a lot way different than Los Angeles, where you can get same-day shipping? How about same-day shipping? What would you be ordering?
Everything,
Every
every moment of
single
every day.
goddamn
Yeah.
thing.
I guarantee I would
I'm in the
order
mood
an
for a
SD
Hot
card
Pocket.
if
I'm
you
gonna order that.
This podcast would end and you would have your SD card you wanted.
right, flying in by
I
a
mean,
drone.
could you imagine, which is a very real thing that's happening to people today, where you can go, I need something, type it in, and then just have it at your doorstep hours later.
I'm pretty sure that's same-day shipping.
I want
right?
better than
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
how
it's crazy.
it's like it's kind of an like we don't get to experience that here, but people are like that would be a serious fucking like that'd be such
be the
a
end of
problem.
Rob.
Like it would be like
It would be the worst.
it'd be worse than like
Yeah,
a gambling problem. I would just be
For sure.
Like I almost do it now to where it's like with 2-day shipping where it's just like what do I need in 2 days? Let's see. And just like we'll just order a couple of fucking things that are cheap just for the fuck
just
of it.
random stuff, something you would never even
Yeah.
have. Like if you went to the mall or something like that and you saw
Saw
this thing,
it.
you're like, I don't fucking need
I don't
that.
need
What the
that.
fuck am I gonna do with that thing?
But like you got
$20? Ah,
Need some
okay.
black
Let's
pepper
see what
from-
it is.
from Taiwan.
And that's
Yeah.
that's another thing to talk about is just that having Prime makes you do that kind of shit where you're just like, well, I
I
guess
think
I'll.
they know that.
For sure, they know that,
That's not
and that's
even
why
count about their
65%.
fucking one click to order and their dash buttons.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
We
I've
haven't even
seen-
touched on that
Those
shit.
are crazy.
yeah,
That's
that is
fucking
crazy.
insane.
They
Have
got
you
those
guys
for
ever
anything.
been gotten by that one click order shit? Have you ever
I
been fucked
just-
over by that?
No, it's got
No.
the slide in there now.
They have a patent
Oh,
on that.
okay.
The one, the buy in
patent.
one click. They have a patent on that. That's why nobody
Interesting.
else can has that.
Interesting.
the buy
I
in
don't
one
want
click.
anybody else to have that. It's just dumb.
I
I've been
agree,
fucked
I
over by
agree.
that. Like,
I love it.
I do too.
I ran out of my oatmeal because I'm an oatmeal fan. For all you oatmeal fans out there,
Quaker Oats, looking at you. Looking
Hey,
at
for that other guy that's eating oatmeal still, this one's for you.
drop that spoon, George. I see you eating that oatmeal.
Some dude named George just like, what?
How'd he know?
Yeah, because
Dropped a spoon in his oatmeal. Like, his hands just trembling. Illegal podcast, they know.
we're all
And he's
coming
still
for-
freaking out because we just
obviously do
explained
know.
what just
George,
happened
we're
to him.
coming
as well.
for you.
Unfortunately, we also know your real name is Jorge, so
Yeah.
hopefully that doesn't freak you out anymore.
Jorge Garcia.
But a 50
Lost.
count thing of oatmeal, and I have it on my dash button, and I was like, oh, I have like 5 packs left in my other 50 count. Hit it, got it, 2 days later. Cool.
Now-
I didn't have to fucking like make sure my shipping was right, make sure
Let
I
me
got
ask
the
you
right
some
address.
questions about
Boom.
the dash button because I see them, but I'm unfamiliar with exactly how that
Yeah.
works. Do you just order a button and program it to whatever the fuck you want? Or,
Basically,
like,
you scroll down on the app and they're already there. Like it sees like
Yeah.
if you purchase something recently, it will just have a button already there. You can actually buy a physical dash button too. I
oh, so
believe,
you
still.
have a dash button within your app.
It's in the app, yeah, and it's
Interesting.
if you accidentally press it once though, kind of protecting against yourself. If you accidentally press one, it was like, did you mean to do that? And you can say okay or not. But after you hit okay for the first time, like it doesn't appear again.
See what
so-
I have on mine is a like when I'm browsing a product, I can
Yeah.
just immediately order it, but I have to slide it.
See, I'm down with that.
That's a thing
fine.
too. Yeah.
That's fine.
No, with the physical dash buttons, are those programmable? Because
I don't know.
I'll see like a Tide one and it's got like the Tide
Yeah.
logo on it, and I'm just like, well, what if like
I would imagine
next
it's
month I want to
programmable.
change
Yeah.
it? Is
You gotta
sure it's
order a new
programmable,
dash
yeah.
button.
I think
that's what
there's
I'm wondering. Like, do you have
customizable
to?
ones.
And also, do they charge for a dash button?
I'd be willing to bet.
Probably
I mean,
low. Yeah, I think I remember when they were selling them, and instead of it was before they had them
Probably
in the app.
not, because it's they probably
I
know if
would
they give you
imagine
this dash
not.
button for free that you're going to click it so many times they're
How-
going to make their money back a
How,
thousand
do you have to
times.
charge
Ryan on the
charge a
research.
dash button?
I don't know. I've never actually had the physical ones. I
Because
just
it
use
looks
the
like
app.
they're just kind of like a magnet.
I've never had the physical one either. I just know about the dash.
That's
in the-
interesting. Maybe we
in
should
the app.
get one.
Yeah. We'll just put it here and then just have it.
If you guys in the comments, go ahead and leave us a whole bunch of comments on what you guys think that we should use the dash button to order.
$4.99.
$4.99.
Interesting.
$4.99.
Now I think that's going to be one of those things like where eventually, like when you order Tide, they're just going to be like, we're just going to send you a dash button. Like, don't worry about it.
I think so,
cool,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
They want to make
I
it
think that
easy for you
rules
to get
because-
tied.
Yeah, I think that'll be a thing eventually. And you'll eventually just be going around your house, just being like, out of milk, and you just hit it, and then just
Yeah.
Which would, I
Country
think would
Fresh
be
will be
kind of
banging it out.
yeah.
I got
don't
one
know
last
how
thing
I feel about it.
for everybody. Go around the table. How many people do you think ordered Tide Pods with the dash button to insert them into their mouths?
Ooh, all of them.
At least one.
At least
Now,
5.
Interesting thing is I
Fine.
seen that kids were using their Alexa to order shit to their house with their voice, with their like, you
With
know,
their parents' card
yeah, like
information.
they'd be like, "Hey
Alexa's
Alexa,
in the home.
order all this shit," and like it would show up in a few days, and the parents were like, "What the fuck is this?" So that's also something that's interesting.
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
you
so
can
there's
just
gotta
kind
be
of
some
bark
added
at it.
security there as well.
Yeah.
You can just bark at it to order your shit too. Which
Amazon's
is, I think that's-
awesome, but it's also dark.
Yeah, there's such like a you're kind of playing with fire there, just like with
Amazon,
AI and anything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wiretap, already 65% of households for Prime, so they already have what you buy. Like, I don't know, it's super scary once you like really analyze like the power.
When
that
you realize
Amazon
what
has.
they're actually doing with that data, when they're just like building this crazy profile on you, and just
we're
like
just trying to figure out what kind of Pop-Tarts you want.
yeah,
No, we're finding out where you're going, George.
yeah, just dropped it again.
But how easy would it be to
Just
have
kidding,
like
George. We know you
a,
exactly where you're at right
a dash
now.
button just set up? Let's say you drink a lot of bottled water or something
Yeah.
like that. You have that.
Super convenient.
You run out or you get down to like 5 or 6 bottled waters left, and you just want to tap that button to get it on the way. I mean,
I
don't
love
have
the
to worry about it.
concept, but like what I don't want is a bunch of buttons around my fucking house to where like.
you wouldn't put them around the house.
You know
dude.
what
I'd imagine
you
you put them
inside
all
of
in
it-
one
here's-
central location.
Here's what I see is like, well, no, like you'd probably have like your water one by your water and your Tide one by your washing machine, and
It'd be
like
Yeah.
disgusting.
Your house is
you
gonna
probably,
look
I'm
like
sure
a
that's
fucking
probably how you would
NASCAR
have
ad.
it, right? Like why would you have like you had all your shit like on the fridge, like that would that kind of defeats the purpose of the button.
You got a phone for
Yeah,
that.
I would put it where it
Where
belongs.
it goes. Now, what I would like to see is
natural.
a like maybe a dash button that just goes on your fridge. You click it, and there's like maybe just like a few inch interface where it just be like, here's the shit you always use your dash button for. Which one of these things do you want? And I just go that.
Well, they've got that
Yeah.
on the phone already, pretty much.
That's pretty. Yeah.
Well, they
So
also-
essentially that, but instead of it being on my phone, like it can be in my kitchen.
They have Alexa
don't have to
Show
deal with
too,
it.
where it's the Alexa that has like the display.
Yeah, I got a buddy who has that, and you
I
know,
never knew about such a thing.
yeah, and it'll feed you, you know, oddly enough, the Washington Post news all the time because they own that shit.
Daddy Bezos.
But that's also another thing. If I don't know if we want to dive into that, but just like the whole fucking ecosystem of like Amazon and how
Oh.
all that shit is
That would go forever.
cyclical
We'll
and,
talk
and
about
That's
that.
actually
not a
kind
good
of
idea.
Are you guys good on the Amazon stuff?
Yeah, let's
Do you have any?
close it
Because
out.
that's kind of a perfect segue for what I was going to talk about is how people want to feed you. All these big companies have their version of the truth, right?
For sure.
And I guess that's the best way to put it. I think that I can think of their version of the truth. You know, their most preferred version of the truth, and not that we haven't already shit on them fucking multiple times, but I just want to go ahead and take one more ginormous steaming fucking pile on YouTube really quick. Because now they are in conspiratorial or alternative news outlets. They're going to be placing in actual like links to fact-based organizations that are going to give you the truth on the scoop of whatever that particular video is obtaining to, and they're just going to happen to lead back to Wikipedia. I'm not making this up. This is real. CEO of YouTube gave CNBC a interview about this. This is actually happening. So they're considering the most truthful website to debunk conspiracy theorists to be Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's not the most
awesome.
truthful
Well,
place
it's
at
like
all.
I'm reading here that it's being used to promote conspiracy theories rather than to debunk them. That's what this article that you shared is saying. And it's also an interesting fact here is it says one of the whoever the CEO, I forgot who it says, Wojcicki. I'm sure I'm butchering that last name, but Wojcicki
Exactly how it's pronounced.
was asked about why YouTube can't decide what is true or false, but can decide what is hateful. And her answer was, hateful is more clear than if someone is true or if something is false. Which I just thought was an interesting...
Insane.
yeah, that was an interesting thing for the CEO or whoever this
To
person
determine
is.
whether something is right or wrong.
Wojcicki then engages on flat Earth truthers. Why is flat Earth coming up so much goddamn much?
There's 3 stabbings.
Me paraphrasing what she said. Most people think the Earth is round. Some people think it's flat. That's the way it is. Why should we decide on what people think?
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, when I first read this article, I was thinking they were like trying to like, don't believe this bullshit. Like, here's the truth. But now that after like I'm diving into this article, it makes it seem like they're trying to like go the other way and like promote like conspiracy. So it's kind of strange.
I think it's just weird that Wikipedia is the choice.
Right.
Either way, I don't care what way you're going with it. Wikipedia should not be your choice.
You're gonna take this this platform where you can use user-created content to make whatever you want,
right.
And then you're going to be like, well, just in case that's not true, here's the source that is based on user-created content. You can make anything you want.
Right. See Facebook for the truth.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I mean, I'd like to see how this would really play out. So, like, what are they saying? Like, when Alex Jones posts some shit about, like, a shooting being a false flag, like, they're going to be like...
Here's a link to the Wikipedia page.
Here's the thing. Here's a link to the Wikipedia page explaining false flags and how the U.S. does them all the time. Or here's a link to a Wikipedia page on how, like, false flags are maybe not false flags.
Yeah, they shouldn't be the regulators of any of that. Should just be.
It's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Well, then you could also go to the fact. Let's say again, they posted on his video as well, and he decides, you know what? I'm gonna get myself a Wikipedia account. I'm gonna go ahead and I see that they already posted this link, so I'm gonna go write this Wikipedia article to support what I just said.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is fan-fucking-tastic that this just popped up. So here's an example of how this is gonna work.
Kroger ad.
Person watching this, goddamn Kroger ad.
Futurism back on.
So here's this is so good. Here's a perfect example of how this is gonna work. This person is watching a video calling its title is "Proof That Chemtrails Are Real," and then the video shows, "Do you understand that chemtrails are real?" with a question mark. Now, as this video is playing, there's a little pop-up that looks like it's sourced from Wikipedia while the video is playing, in much like an annotation would pop up, and it says, "Contrails are line-shaped clouds produced by aircraft engine exhaust or changes in air pressure, typically at aircraft cruise altitude several miles above," and then there's a link for the rest of the Wikipedia. Now, I kind of like that, but at the same time...
Give me a more reputable site.
Don't put it in the middle of my goddamn video I'm trying to watch.
Well, that's fine too, because like I feel like a lot of people will just watch a video and just go, okay, that's truth now. So I like the idea that it's giving you sources, but the fact that it says the video is called "Proof That Chemtrails Are Real," and then the first thing that Wikipedia says is contrails are something that's this. Those are two different things.
Yeah, but everybody's going to assume they're the same thing.
Right, and then people are going to be like, well, chemtrails are contrails, and contrails are condensation trails, which dissipate very quickly.
Yeah, like they're linking you, like, this is a YouTube video about facts about bananas. And then like they're like, here's a link to apples.
How to grow strawberries in Antarctica.
Right. Something.
So
do you see any options right there about how to turn it off?
It doesn't say anything, but there is the 3 dots next to it, which I'm imagining is like a turn off this stuff for the future, like the classic option 3 dots.
Yeah. See, I don't like
but
it.
It says the additional information will appear alongside videos.
I guess what's the difference between them sticking that on the video and them telling me this is your next video?
I mean, it's a big difference of being like... It's kind of one of those catch-22s again, right? Because like there's a lot of silly fucking shit on YouTube that people think is real, and there should be something that just goes, no, it's not. This is what it actually is.
But
that should be real. But what they're it's a big difference.
Has existed since the dawn of mankind, though.
Yeah, it's like going to the bookstore and like grabbing one book, like, oh, this is about chemtrails, and oh, so is this one, and just,
you know what I mean? Well. I want to pre-state my next statement by saying I mean no disrespect on any of the world religions, but how does somebody who didn't know the difference, a complete ignorant individual, and they were to grab 2 books, Harry Potter and the Bible. Ooh. You know, and read them and be like, I don't know which one's more true.
Harry Potter's a cooler story.
I would disagree.
Sure.
The Bible's got some crazy shit in there.
There's a lot of murder in there.
Yeah, lots of murder, lots of good stuff in there. But beyond that, regardless of what you believe, you know what I'm saying is like that has every book that was in your library growing up as a kid. You know that was put down from. It was written from the point of view of the person writing the book, so there's gonna be bias. There's gonna be some untruth to it. Yeah. There's gonna be,
especially in the Bible book.
Yeah, especially especially.
Where do they draw the line here, right? So like now you have like all these every large TV channel has a YouTube channel where they'll filter clips from their their main TV source. Where do they draw the line here as opposed to being like, where do we, like, you got a news organization being like, here's the deal with this, and it's bullshit, and then, like, are you going to have something pop up and be like, actually, Wikipedia says that was bullshit?
I don't care what Wikipedia says.
And this news organization is lying to you about the facts.
Where do you draw the line?
It's a good question.
No line.
Right in front of Toys R Us.
No, I think that boils down to like, it's like you said. Where do you draw the line? There is no way to do it. It's impossible.
I just don't think it should be a pop-up kind of like. It's just censorship. If anything, like if somebody's saying something very truthful, like maybe it was, say Edward Snowden didn't do the leak the way he did, and he was just, I'm gonna throw this up on YouTube, and then like it's like link like. This guy is a fucking liar, or like just something like that. Just a form of censorship, and YouTube shouldn't have that power. But then again, it's their channel.
How often does a big name like a Jimmy Fallon or a Stephen Colbert go, "Hey, everyone, go to Wikipedia and say that"?
Right.
Like I think someone did that said dolphins were extinct. And they got enough people to where, like, if you went to Wikipedia and went to dolphins, it said dolphins were extinct. So it's just like how that's
not a credible source.
No, so it's just like you can manipulate that kind of shit and just like.
Yeah.
But what's the difference between that and the book that somebody wrote 200 years ago? Other than it being able to, like that book, nobody like 1,000 different authors can't go in and change that book and then republish the book. But I mean, it's still.
Well, you can. A lot more people are seeing it also.
Well, you can. That's kind of my point. Is just like, who the fuck says Wikipedia has any of the? If you can just.
Right, but who the fuck says anybody? Who the fuck says anything? Like, how does anybody get the right to claim anything? Is kind of, I guess, my point.
Right, and that's kind of the topic here is just like, you're just gonna have to fucking figure it out. You're gonna have to do your own fucking research. You're gonna have to form your own opinion.
And unfortunately, you're still gonna be wrong over half the time.
Yeah.
Which is fine as long as you're doing it on yourself and you're not like trusting that Wikipedia is telling you that like something doesn't exist when it very well might, just because Stephen Colbert said that. like let's say that was still sitting in there. It may have not have been him, but it was someone like that. Where just like say dolphins are extinct, and it was on there, and all of a sudden you're just like watching this YouTube video on dolphins, and
grade school, you're doing a book report.
It pops up, and it's like dolphins have been extinct for 200 years, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that. Shit,
that's crazy.
It's from Wikipedia.
I see this person driving this car, going to the beach to pet a dolphin.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't give a shit what Wikipedia says.
200 years?
I just saw.
This dude's a time traveler.
I just saw a dolphin 13 minutes ago. That's fucking weird. This very recent development on dolphins.
Been a dolphin I just saw.
So what you can get from this is dolphins are dead.
Dolphins don't exist.
That's what we're trying to get across here. Yeah. Dolphins are dead.
I think that's a good segue into
the dolphins.
The dolphins.
Now we'll go into which I think may be our last article of the day, and we'll try to make this relatively short because it's important but fairly uneventful here. So what we have here is the plastic particles found in bottled water. Now this is a story that seems to circulate like every 5 to 10 years. Like it keeps popping up. If you didn't know, for various reasons, there's a ton of plastic floating around in your plastic filled water bottles.
Really?
Yeah. So they did a test on a ton of major brands of bottled water and found that nearly all of them contain plastic particles of plastic. So before you get terrified here, there's some important things to understand. That the amount of plastic they found in these bottles was minute.
Super minute.
Super minute. It was thicker than some of your hair. Well, actually, all of your hair. That's pretty much what those are defining factor on the pieces.
Thicker or thinner?
Thicker.
Okay.
Thicker than your hair. And they found it in just about all of the brands. They essentially said somehow David Attenborough popping up, ? From previously. But he highlighted the threat of plastic waste several years ago, and in Blue Planet 2, which was like a kind of a subsidiary of Planet Earth.
Yeah.
But the leading brands for plastic being found in their water are, of course, Aquafina and Dasani. They're the two big ones, and of course they don't give a shit about people's health. Yeah. But then there's Evian, Nestle Pure Life. Fuck those guys again. And San Pellegrino, which I think will probably surprise a lot of people because that's kind of the people think that is like a high-end water. Yeah. But essentially, the short end of the stick is if you are drinking plastic bottled water, you are drinking plastic in one form or another. Now, as of right now, it's completely. The amounts are fine. Like, they're not dangerous amounts of plastic as we know of yet. But there were some interesting things in here about you only being able to ingest so much plastic before it just doesn't work very well anymore. Or you don't work very well anymore because you have died.
Because you are now dead.
So here's just some of the stuff from the deal here. We got 93% of bottled water tested and showed sign of microplastic contamination. We had 10.4 particles per liter bigger than 100 microns, which is about the width of a human hair. Now, 10.4 particles per liter is not a lot. No. It really isn't. Yeah. It's virtually nothing. But if you're someone who drinks bottled water all the time on a daily basis, just with a lot of things like high fructose corn syrup, yeah, sure, in moderation, it's fine. But if you're drinking bottled water every day, might not be as fine as they're putting it out there to be. 314 particles per liter smaller than a human hair. So that's a little more, but that's still not a tremendous amount. Nothing we should apparently be afraid of or worrying about currently. But if we have essentially the inability to really digest these things and we just kind of keep ingesting them, how long can we go before we find out it's probably not so good that we're drinking all this bottled water? Yeah.
At least it's all BPA free now, isn't it, for the most part?
Would that even matter? So the most of it, the highest percent, 54% of these plastics were essentially polypropylene, which is what is used in the bottle caps of the water. Yeah, essentially, so you crack it open, it's flying in there. There's some other issues about leaving them out in the sun, and some plastic breakdown that's floating off in the water. But beyond that, 16% nylon, 11%. Polystyrene, and various percents of other shit I can't pronounce appropriately.
Which one do you guys think is worse for us? Do you think it's worse to consume a little tiny bit of plastic every day, every time we drink a bottled water? Do you think it's worse to inhale all the jet fumes, the exhaust from the jets? Or do you think it's worse to be bombarded by all these Wi-Fi signals that we're constantly
Well, I think it's an interesting...
tapped in.
A very clever, again, CIA tactician, well thought out combination of all of them that's just kind of fucking us up simultaneously. Yeah. So here's some interesting...
Also throw aluminum in the mix and fluoride in the mix.
Yeah, some interesting concepts that we're just talking about this particular subject is it's a little bit, but when you start breaking down these numbers is when it gets a little concerning that there are 1 million bottles of water purchased every minute.
I mean, that's an issue just in itself of like how much pollution's caused by these bottles of water. Of people just like,
sure.
fuck it.
So interesting about those 1 million bottles that are bought every minute, which breaks down to 20,000 per second, is only 7% of that is being
I've seen
recycled
that. That's insane.
into new bottles.
Less than 50% of collection, or it's collected for recycling, which is crazy.
About a fourth, about 25% are sold by Coca-Cola themselves.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. Like, yeah, they're hyping it up like it's like, oh, it's a big news story. This is from BBC.com, but at the same time they're like, don't worry about it. And in the very same article, they're like, 1 million bottles are bought every minute.
Don't worry about it.
But don't worry about it. Yeah. And we're definitely like becoming a plastic planet more and more. So, and there's some of it has its advantages. Not all plastic's bad, but there's definitely a lot of like, fuck it, let's not worry about it.
Right.
We're gonna be dead by the time it's a problem.
You guys think like maybe like a million years in the future there'll be humans that'll be like setting up plastic fucking mines? You know what I mean? They'll
Plastic
just have
miners.
Maybe. Yeah, plastic mines over areas where we used to have landfills, and they're just
It's
like
just, like, all
going down there,
plastic.
just like digging out the plastic and just remelting that shit down because they
don't know how to make it
They've
themselves.
forgotten
yet.
how to make
Yeah.
plastic at this point because we nuked the world and forgot how to make plastic.
It's quite
Gatorade
possible.
into the crops.
Yeah, but beyond all that, it is what it is. But if you're not even diving into the plastic that you're ingesting and can't digest, but then you got your fluoride, the excess calcium, the sodium that's in these waters, the electrolytes,
The negativity from all those people in your life that are just
electrolytes.
always
the
bombarding you.
pH balance of this bottled water is just fucking atrocious.
The
Yeah,
fucking
it's definitely bad, but the story itself, like I was kind of reading, like I wanted to see like where the source came from, and the group that did it was at some state university of New York in Fredonia. I've never even heard of this place. And then I also read a little bit down further that this isn't peer reviewed, and then it's also
Source is The Onion.
True. And then the publication's not in a scientific journal at all, which obviously they probably haven't done any extensive studies on it because they would
No,
also
for sure,
tank those
because
companies.
only because those extensive studies would just not fare well for Pepsi or
big-
Coca-Cola.
exactly,
So
yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see that kind of stuff come out. I mean,
No.
but this was from the BBC.com.
But people probably also
Not to
thought
say
about
that
the
it's-
tobacco companies, like when they were in their heyday in the 50s and the 60s, like, oh, nobody's gonna ever like try to do research against those
Right.
big giants, and obviously they did. Oh man,
And
cancer's linked to
doesn't
these.
make a difference either way.
Turns out, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just as strong.
yeah.
cancer don't care.
Yeah, we were talking about this is one of you guys I was talking with, like a pretty much like the truth.org movement was just completely
That's right.
funded by big tobacco, and how just like those commercials, there's no one that's just like smoking and watching one of those commercials going, no one told me this gave me lung cancer. Get out of here. Just like put it out in an ashtray, just like never again. Someone should have told me about that shit.
Right.
But what it does very much do is make people go, I want a cigarette.
Yeah, for sure.
I want a cigarette right now. That looked really fucking good the way he was inhaling that.
The way his face falls off.
There's no one smoking cigarettes that's like unaware of the dangers of smoking.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like nobody stopped.
But
Cool.
anyway, that was pretty much wraps up the grunt of the podcast here. We got interesting outro here. We're gonna let Brian share it with us.
Yeah, pretty much. I sent a photo over to the group me if you guys want to check it out as well. Probably not a bad idea. I have essentially a photo that's given us 9 different pills to choose. Each one of these pills is going to perform a different action. You will get something special from ingesting one of these pills. I'm going to go ahead and read them aloud, but you guys might want to go ahead and read them by yourself, because the goal is to pick only 3. You can only pick 3. That means 6 of them is not going
1,
to be
2,
used
and 9.
for you. Hold your answers till the end. Pretty much. Number 1 is going to be master 3 skills. Number 2 is going to be eat out with no consequences.
Eat out.
Eat without
Oh,
consequences.
sorry. Eat without consequences. Sorry, I got a little bit bitterous there.
Tandem.
Number 3 is stop one addiction. Number 4 is change one body part. Meet your soulmate. Pet lives as long as you do. Become famous. Erase 2 memories. And $500 a day for the rest of your life.
About 350.
350.
About
It's
350.
It's about 350. He's a Loch Ness
God
monster.
damn, Loch
that is
Ness
a hard
monster.
There's so many good ones. I already said mine, and I'm still
So,
sticking to
is this going to be a scenario like a would you rather scenario, where we can like ask questions about these and you will answer them, or just like
For sure.
a straight like
There's caveats for sure. If,
like so let's say
Caviar.
the master 3 skills, like what kind of skills are we talking about?
Yeah,
it can
that's-
be anything, any skill, or is it like
the master 3 skills, yes, it can be anything.
any 3 skills?
Any 3 skills.
Any skill that I come up with,
one of these skills could be also number 3.
including telepathy.
And the master 3 skills does not have to be chosen right now. You can choose those later down your life if you want to choose only one right now.
Fuck, man, you're making this too
Can
easy.
I take more than one of like one of the pills? Like, can I take number 1 3 times and master 9 skills?
That is a solid question, not thought of.
Because then I could do everything here.
That's true.
No.
Master the skill of making $500 a day.
We're gonna say no. We're gonna keep each pill only once.
Okay.
I only have a pill once.
So essentially, number 1 is going to be chosen for all of us. I pretty much
For
gathered
sure.
that. That
Yeah.
hands down is
Yeah.
going to be skipped. Number 1, as a refresher, was master 3 skills.
Did we go through all of them?
I disagree.
Yeah,
I'm,
right,
I'm not
okay.
choosing one. I
You're
feel
not
like
You're
I'm
not choosing one.
No, I feel like I can master 3 skills already.
Well, of
No
course
problem.
you can.
I'm mastered
But these
how
would
to
be
tie
I'm
my
gonna master
shoes.
how to, like, hands down, the first thing that I would learn how to do if I don't end up choosing the $500 a day for the rest of my life would be to create an app.
Those are the two
Coding.
that,
man,
that
I'd
are
be
Coding, I
like-
want to master that
those are
right
the two
now.
that are coming
Mine would be
in-
like language. Like I want to speak all languages.
Yeah.
Like a skill 1 language. All
Yeah,
of them.
for sure.
Like that.
Language and coding would be a language too, so technically.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep,
that's
for
not a
sure.
bad way.
Telepathy language.
Ooh, that's pulling me back a little bit now too. Now that
So-
I'm thinking about it like that. Shit.
I mean, I definitely have my answers here.
Okay. Yep, I do too.
What do you think?
Mine, and I'll explain them
Does
briefly.
everybody have their answers?
I think
I get
Any
mine.
questions
without
on any of them?
questions.
1, 2, and 9, right?
Yep.
1, 2, and 9.
Well, no, let me ask a question. Now, this eat without consequences, this is a, is that no consequences whatsoever? Like, I could just
Go over and
No matter
eat my
when you're
neighbor's
gonna die,
dog.
you can just keep eating, but you're
like,
still
I
gonna
can,
die.
wait, can I, like, rob a bank while eating?
If you wanted to, yes, but there would still be consequences
For robbing the bank?
For robbing the bank,
Okay.
yes.
So this is just eating consequences.
Yes.
Can I rob a bank like Mr. Lupa?
I mean, sure, for sure. You could.
Jimmy Johnson.
So that's essentially without the calorie consequences, is essentially what that is. So I mean,
Or you could drink as much plastic as you want and not be affected by it.
so I think this one would be easy for me, and I think this would probably be different than everyone else's, which I think would be cool.
Go for it.
Well, first and foremost, number 1, like we said, that's just got to be a must there.
Ray's
I
the
don't,
only
I
one on the
can't,
fence on that. We'll see.
I can't.
I've jumped back out.
Okay.
I can't say that I already know what those 3 skills would be, but I know one of them would be like a financial skill. Like I'm set on money.
Well, if you learn all the languages, you learn how to code, and if you learn how to code, you
Yeah,
can
like
create that app
I
that's
mean,
just a spider.
I
that-
could just be a translator at a resort,
You are the most valuable person in the
a
world
billionaire resort.
you speak all the languages, yeah, for sure.
Or you're just an asshole
So-
sitting in a basement. You know what language is.
Number 2 would definitely have
Screaming
to be
at people in Swahili and PUBG.
eat without consequences for sure, because I just love eating high octane shit.
now. Dude.
I just love it.
Terrible.
I don't
Jet
don't
fuel.
enjoy like eating per se as like a general thing, but like the consequences of eating is very real for me. And I think this is where I'll be the odd man out. My pet lives as long as I do.
I choose the exact same shit that you did.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So I mean, those are my 3. I think most of those are obvious for the obvious reasons, but
1, 2,
obviously,
and 6.
yeah, 1, 2, and 6. I don't. Pets dying is like
Probably the worst thing ever.
the worst thing I've experienced in my adult life is like all my pets dying. So
Sounds like you're a little bitch.
yeah, there's pill 10. Pill 10, not be a little bitch anymore. I didn't want to take that one.
That could be one of your
But,
skills, not
yeah.
be a little bitch.
That is one of my
Number
skills.
3, that's gonna
Yeah,
be
that's my
sick.
skill for sure.
And I'm not a little bitch.
But in the same of like just really anyone you care for, like don't want them dying before you. But Yeah, those are my three essentially. There, I think those are super easy picks for me as well. Like I really didn't even like 7 become famous. Who's picking that?
Right,
would,
like
for sure.
You would?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Interesting.
Because then I could be able to use my my last 2 skills or whatever to do whatever else I wanted with. Wouldn't have to necessarily just the ability to be.
Well, there
famous
we got 2 of your pills. So we'll explain that a little deeper because you said I would became famous, then I'd use my other 2 skills. So.
No. Well, my first skill would obviously be to do the language things as well.
Okay.
I could
see.
use that to do other things as well. The ability to speak to anybody, anywhere, at any time.
Right.
Is,
Whether a robot or a human.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The only thing that you guys did not talk about, which even solidifies even farther the fact that
it might be touching on what I want to ask.
Maybe go ahead.
Are these like? I have a feeling it's gonna be like the genie scenario of like. I'm gonna drop Wishmaster as a weird reference, where like if I'm to become famous, but it's become famous for being like a serial killer, or like something really bad, or like change
like Hitler famous.
Master 3 skills, and it's just like chopstick skills. Really good at spelling and just really good at stubbing my toe. Like I don't know.
Can breathe effortlessly.
Master 3 skills. No, you get to choose your skills. You do get
Okay.
to choose your skills, and you do get to choose what you're famous for.
All right. Okay, that's kind of all I was going to touch
Yeah,
on. I thought it'd be like the bad part of like every part.
So what?
No.
So
There's no bad.
You
There's
had
only good.
2.
I have
Did we hear
$100,
your
it's
third
just
one?
weird.
No, you did not.
What's your third one?
I love my dog, man.
Yeah.
So you're on the
Pet
other
lives.
one too, number 6.
Yep, hands
Another
down.
number
Yeah.
6, and you've pretty much already said you choose the exact same things
Yeah,
I
1,
did.
2, and 6
you
for
need
sure.
to elaborate on that anymore?
Yeah, sure. I was thinking about swapping out number 1 for number 9. So I was gonna say throw away the Master 3 skills.
Just have that constant revenue.
And just have the $500 a day, because then you don't have to worry. You don't even have to use skills at that point. It doesn't matter.
really
You have $500 a day.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it. I'm like, if I choose wisely on my skills, I can make way more than $500 a day.
Right.
Way more than
But
$5,000.
really, do you
$500 a
need
day.
more than that?
I don't, but I would like to.
Well, how much does
Help
that
out more than-
$500 a day equal into a...
Well, it's not even that. I want to
Annual
spend more than
salary.
that on my. Like, I don't want to just spend money on myself.
I do.
I mean, if that's the whole point of life, then it just seems like a big waste.
You spend it on your dog.
Because now he's living forever, so fuck it.
That's fantastic. So, Ryan, what are your 3?
You still working 1, 2, 9?
Well, I'm definitely not gonna pick little number 6 like you little bitches. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely doing the number 1, 2, and 9, like I said. But even just looking at it and how I was talking about like the negative side of all these, like let's be honest. We talked about financials, about how happy you are. Number 9, be amazing. But like
At
you get
$500
so much-
a day, how long till you can just clone your dog?
Yeah. Well, not only that, like I think. If it's like, what if you want it to stop and it doesn't stop and you just keep on getting money? People come try to
want
kill
my
you
money to
and your
stop.
family. Be like, oh, if you don't give me that $1,000 that just randomly popped into your hand, I'm gonna kill your dog, or just a bunch of stuff.
been
That
like,
could be-
good luck.
I already got number 6, asshole.
but like all of these could be super negative. Like I said, becoming famous be super bad. Meeting your soulmate, like maybe your soulmate's
You
the
hate her.
worst person.
Yeah.
What would be?
be married
But it's your soulmate.
You gotta have a lot more questions,
sure.
I guess. To
But if I was
quantify
to
all of it.
choose, I'm not gonna go super deep on that. I could, but just 1, 2,
What's
and
the
9.
negative connotation?
1,
What
2,
could
and 9?
happen negatively from number 1? What
Number
could,
1?
What could happen possibly? What would be the
I
negative
guess it
thing of
depends on
mastering
your
3
skill.
skills?
Just
Like your skill is like murder.
for you guys, you are musicians, obviously. Like if
Assassin.
you're like
I'm really good
mastered
at it.
that skill,
really good at fucking people up.
like you never stop learning music. Like you learn something new every time you play. But if you mastered it, like where's the enjoyment? Maybe it's gone because you're not trying to push yourself.
I would hands down not master music. On
Right?
purpose,
Exactly,
for
yeah.
Sure.
I don't think. Now that you just said that, do you ever
All of these can have
master
negative
anything? What does that even mean?
like it's just repetition.
Learn
that
every
makes you
language
good at
fluently?
something.
Yeah, but even once you're the best,
probably-
But you're
you
not
can
mastered it. Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
probably
even once you're the
stuff
best,
you
you can still
can
get better at
master,
yourself.
but like it's such a broad term. Like
Yeah.
you can probably like master like a Rubik's cube. It doesn't matter what you mix this up to. I can solve it in 28 seconds,
no matter
Yeah.
what, or
no
less.
matter what. So I mean, like yeah, sure. I bet there's some things you can master, but there's some stuff like no matter you
Like,
put in every
Had
hour of
Bruce
every
Lee not
day.
died, could he have gotten better? Probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even, or like mastering theoretical physics. You're not going to master theoretical physics. It's theoretical. You're going to master what is known right now.
I have all the theories. I've mastered
part of the big conversation.
Right.
And
the first guy to run the 4-minute mile, master the 4-minute mile, or
master the power of flight, maybe.
Flying drones, Amazon.
Yeah, nobody talked about the supernatural.
I'm terribly sorry for going back to our reverse story here, but another thing just popped up on my screen about the Wikipedia and YouTube. As we talked about the previous example about chemtrails, contrails, that throwing this shit up there. Here's one that says 5 most believe Apollo moon landing conspiracies, and then just the Wikipedia thing that pops up in the YouTube video just says moon landing and then defines it. A moon landing is the arrival of a spacecraft on the surface of the moon. The United States Apollo 11 was the first manned mission to land... ... Wikipedia for reference.
that's fucking silly.
Thank you, YouTube.
Thank you.
I didn't know what moon landing
Thanks
was.
for defining moon landing for me.
Thanks, YouTube. Catch us next week on Neckbeards Anonymous, where we talk about how to get Cheeto dust off your dick.
In a more realistic note, peace.
Later.